on Twitch. TatCast episode 5. We have a guest today, Daryl Lapuebla from now working in Oakville at Lost Art Gallery. And why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey, I am Daryl Lapuebla. I work at Lost Art Gallery. Been tattooing since 2014. My Instagram is at drawn_SD.
Nice. All right. So TatCast 5 has been delayed a bit, obviously, because we had the storm. We had a couple of things coming up. It's been super busy, but glad to get to it. So I guess like we've done one, I think, since returning from Corona, right?
Yeah, it was a couple weeks ago. Things have been, kind of hectic for all of us just because of the coronavirus, and seems like everybody's been very interested in getting tattooed since we've been open. So it's been kind of hectic for us.
Word. So today I was gonna start the topics off with what we're thinking like so far. What's your favorite part of like being back to work? Like what's the newest what's the new changes that you're enjoying since coming back from coronavirus?
Um, I guess I'll go first. I mean, I guess the best part is just like finally going to work. um,
Right.
we were counting down the time. We were essentially counting down the time. So when we were first originally closed down, we're like, all right, so we've got about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and turn to a month. And we're like, all right, we can handle a month. Taking a little break isn't that bad. Once we got close to that month, it was like, oh, all right, another month. Cool. I can do some stuff around the house, maybe. Third month comes around, second month comes around, and they're like, all right, another month. All right, now what the hell do I do? For some of us who have kids, my my 3-year-old was like, I'm bored. When your 3-year-old says you're bored, there's a problem. But once I got back to work, it was just like that first month was crazy. Things have kind of calmed down a little bit, but they're still pretty busy. But I've enjoyed it, man. I love the hustle. I love to work hard, just like everybody else here. You know, how'd you guys handle it?
I think the thing I like best about coming back from the changes, like the newest, like something different since actually coming back, is probably the more like relaxed atmosphere with just clients coming in. It's like that one on one, so there's just less people. So even though I do like it when there's a lot of people and that energy is nice, um, there are those like more chill moments in the shop where it's like not as hectic.
Definitely. I see that like my tattoos, especially like the design is one shot, one kill type thing because they don't have someone else to bounce it off. Like, what do you think about this? You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Oh,
So
I like. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Oh, that's so good. I haven't really considered that factor, but that is so true. I haven't experienced that in a hot minute. Sometimes they'll
yeah,
send it out like on a cell phone or something, especially if
right.
someone's
But
waiting in the car.
usually they're just like lay it on, and everything,
Yep.
and like placement is wherever you think it is. So it's been good.
Hell yes. Feeling that. What about you, Bryant?
Um, the best part about being back,
Well,
I
just
don't
the
know.
new, like the best new thing about it.
New thing, it's cool to have another person working with us that I used to work with in the past. So that's been pretty cool.
Hell yeah.
And yeah, just kind of one-on-one time with your clients is great. Not a lot of people sitting around, not a lot of people taking up space, which is nice. Um, but I think overall, like it has nothing to do with even like the protocol or like any changes that we made. It just overall just feels better. I don't know what it is, but like my tattoos have been better and everything just feels better. Um, I think it's just like a general feeling, not really like anything specific.
Nice.
Um, yeah, I definitely agree with you, man. It's been pretty smooth sailing. I haven't deal with like any kind of distractions from other people. coming in and when it's just our clients. Yeah, shout out to Mike, because like uh, many of you may not know this, but we have a new recruit in our shop, and it's been it's been interesting. It's been cool to have like an extra person kind of chilling with us, and kind of feeling the waters and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you? What about anybody else? We all done this already?
Yeah, we went around.
Yeah.
And then maybe, yeah, word to Mike. What's up? I don't know if he's watching, but maybe we definitely have to get him on next time.
Yeah,
But
add a new recruit. We kind of have to do a little initiation, I guess, on here.
definitely seems good. Episode 6. Yeah, Mike actually messes with a lot of oils. Mike Dunn Tattoos on Instagram, if anyone wants to check it out. I think the shop follows him now, so you can find him through there too.
Yeah, he
does
he has
some really
cool
rad
pieces
oil
up at the shop.
paintings.
Yeah, he
And the
definitely has some cool
bio
pieces
stuff,
at the shop.
yeah, sick.
Yeah,
Like the tattoo he was
Yeah.
doing today. I don't know if you saw the pictures of it, but a continuation. It was a cover up and a continuation
cover-up,
of
yeah.
the like mech kind of dragon thing he's got going on, and it's fresh.
Yeah, it was on the shoulder, right?
Yeah, some real nice
Black and
dimensions
gray
built
piece.
in.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, he did that. Like that piece he done on the chest the other day was pretty sweet. It was like wicked colorful.
Oh yeah, that was wild.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we called it a graffiti mech.
Nice. I fuck with that name. It definitely was like very high brightness and then good like color contrast.
Mm-hmm. Definitely was.
So yeah,
Daryl.
today. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like Daryl, like obviously, you're our guest here. We haven't had a chance to actually, we'd like to actually know a little more about you.
Sure.
Like how you got into the industry, like where'd you start, what's your kind of style and all that stuff.
Yeah, man. So yes, I got into the industry actually by drawing on a bus, to be honest. I didn't really necessarily want to be a tattoo artist. I kind of just have always done art, and then by chance one day was drawing on a bus, and a tattoo artist asked to buy my drawing, and I was like, sure. And he's like, you ever thought about making money with your art? And I was like, yeah, but this guy's kind of shady. He has like a 12 on the back of his head. You know what I mean? I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's really for me, man, but we'll see. And he's like, all right, well, we're looking for an apprentice, so if you ever want to come by, like, definitely come by. I'm like, I'll think about it. And like, my friends had bought me a machine back in like way before that, and like I tried tattooing at home and doing all that stuff, and my tattoos weren't coming out the way I knew I could draw, so I just got really discouraged. So I was like, I don't know, like, been there, done that, not really my thing. And then I ended up going on like a business conference in Atlanta for like a month, and then just doing my corporate business work, just I wasn't satisfied or happy. So I made the decision, like, while I was there, like, when I get back, I'm gonna definitely go to that shop, bring my portfolio work, see if I can start this over, and see if I can get an apprenticeship. And the owner liked my stuff when I brought it in, and he said, come in on a Monday and we'll see where this goes. And pretty much didn't look back from there. Just been went through my apprenticeship, been drawing ever since. As far as like my style, I'd say like illustrative realism in a way. Kind of, I'm all over the map. I'd say I'm more of like a tattoo cover band. Like, you tell me what you want and I'll put it on you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not terrible at anything, but I'm not like, this is all I do. You know what I mean? So I definitely find that I'm sort of developing a style, and definitely at the new shop that I'm at, just getting the critiques that I'm getting on everything and all that. It's night and day from just growing as an artist, like specific details on what I need to do better. And it's already showing as far as me growing in my artwork, which is fantastic. I'm looking forward to starting an oil painting for the first time. That's going to be fun. But yeah, as far as like what I'm interested in, I really enjoy all the illustrative stuff. I follow a lot of the illustrative tattooers. But as far as anything that I'm tattooing, a lot of people come to me for realistic black and gray, realistic color. I've been doing a lot of floral work, but just everything. I think you can learn from every style out there.
Nice. And how long you
I
been
w-
tattooing? You said
Since
6 years.
2014. Yeah.
I like to work with
Okay.
a similar approach. I saw the other day on your Insta the drawing that you put on with the gems and like the beadwork, like sketched on with
Oh
a
yeah, yeah,
marker
yeah.
and then brought to life, dude. That was insane, man. Like the way that you had that vision from the drawing that you put on is sick. I love that.
I kind of just winged it, to be honest. She's like, I
Nice,
want jewels, and I was like, fuck, like,
dude. It
God, all
worked.
right, that sounds fun. Let's just make some gems out of nowhere, because it's like not like you can find reference for that. You know what I mean? Like, okay, let's just figure out lighting for a gem 10,000 times.
That word. Yeah,
Yeah.
I fucked with that.
Love that. When you can't really find a reference, you kind of have to make it up yourself along the way.
Yeah,
Any artists that might inspire you, like that, like kind of got you to kind of be like, oh,
So it's hard to say because back in California, things from West Coast tattooing to East Coast tattooing, things are completely different. Out there, like going to the conventions out there, you're going to like Ink and Iron and you're seeing all these big names, but it's like black and gray, realism, all this stuff that is just so high profile, like the stuff you see on TV, the Nico Hurtados, the Carlos Torreses, those are the people you're seeing at the conventions. Um, Now coming over here, things are a lot more illustrative. You got New School, you got Joe Cap, you got Teresa Sharp that comes, from Virginia, all that stuff. Things are a lot more illustrative over here. And as far as the clientele out there, the stuff that they're putting out is you're seeing a lot of lettering, a lot of portraiture, black and gray, things that are done very quickly.
yeah.
Because you're turning out clients very, very fast. Because if you don't, you lost out on that client because there's someone just as good as you, if not better, down the street, no matter what. And if you don't have time right then and there, they're going there and they're going to undercut you for price by $10, and that's all it takes. And out here, you have clients that are artist specific. They're coming out and they're saying, I really like this person's work. I'm willing to wait for them for a month, however long, which helps. It helps you grow as an artist. You develop a clientele base and they follow you and all that stuff. Whereas out there, that's not a thing.
Um, yeah, for what I've heard, like West Coast, it's always been one of those things where it's just like this tattoo shop, like right across the street. You know what I mean? My mentor lived out in California for a little bit. He worked out in like Vegas. He's worked out in California. He started his apprenticeship out in Vegas, so he would tell me stories about stuff out in the West Coast. And all it would take is like this tattoo shop right up the road. So if you weren't like hustling like that, it's you weren't getting that client. So obviously, I've never really been that far out to the west like that tattooing anyway. But I'd believe it. You know what I mean? I'd believe it.
Yeah, and I think Brian's worked with me at a point, and he's seen how fast I am as far as tattooing. Like I'm working very quickly all day, and now I'm at a point where at the shop I'm at, it's taking me a lot to slow down and really focus in on tightening everything, like specifically like line weight, making sure everything is just specifically detailed and together and consistent all the way through, which is it's crazy because before I'm used to bring it in, get the tattoo done, next client. Now it's spend your time to make this tattoo the best tattoo you can possibly make it, no matter what.
I think that's one of the biggest things in tattooing right now. That makes tattooing, that adds to the difficulty of getting better at tattooing. Is once you're decent at tattooing, you want to, make a living. and you want to make as much money as you can. And sometimes, I noticed in the past, trying to get as many clients in a day, or trying to just do as much as possible, as quickly as possible, it kind of jeopardizes your work. And then at that point, you don't feel great about it. Some tattoos, you're losing sleep over, and you're not really you're not enjoying the process. And when coming back from the break, um, I take about one or two people a day. And even though I'm an incredibly fast tattooer, I get to like really just look at what I did, and I don't have to worry about that next person coming in 10 minutes. I can be like, you know what, I think I'm gonna add this one more color, and like you get to really evaluate, and you get to, hang out with your client more. You can, when you're actually done with the tattoo, you can let it sit for 10, 15 minutes, and then, wait to see if you can get some better photos. And you just kind of get to like enjoy it a little bit more. But then you're still kind of conflicted then, because then you're like, well, I only had one person today, and I'm not making a whole lot of money. Um, but I've found like I think a pretty decent balance right now, at least for what I require in my life, to
Mm-hmm.
get by. And it's helping the tattoos. And I think once you start helping your tattoos, um, then you can start taking on more people again, and taking what you learned and bringing it to faster, more clients and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've noticed, over the past like 2 years, the difference, working with you, the difference on how you approach things, and over the past couple, especially over the past couple months, like definitely like seem like you're more at ease in the situation you've been in, with your clients, and been able to do like you pushed out a lot of stuff, a lot of pieces that you've generally like doing,
Yeah.
a lot, especially in your style.
Yeah, but
You know,
there's definitely a sacrifice though to obtain that. Like
yeah,
I'm not, as far as our 6-man shop, I'm not necessarily like the breadwinner. I'm not, um, I'm not super busy. But the clients that I do have that are coming in are looking for my work specifically. I'm not getting sent, Pinterest ideas. I'm not being sent anything ridiculous that I'm uncomfortable with, and therefore, may jeopardize the tattoo, just to make the money. Like I'm doing things that I know I'm going to be, I'm going to do very well. And those clients treat me very well, and I treat them very well. And then like I said, I think once I'm more comfortable back being where I am, you can start taking on more and more and more, once I'm comfortable with where my tattoos are at. Um, but I think I needed to just slow down a little bit, not only for tattoo's sake, but mental health sake, and general health sake and stuff like that.
definitely tattooing wise, you you definitely work fast, because in the shop after you're done, you're like, God damn it, I did it again.
Yeah,
But like
I know.
realistically, like naturally, it's not like you're rushing to get your work done, because it all comes in every time. Any of the stuff I've seen you do, uh, since quarantine, since after quarantine, it's all been like solid, on point. It's just a matter of your speed. It's just how you work. It's
Right.
just how all of us work. We all
And
work different speeds.
I think I talk about it every episode. It's like I've tried to slow down, and it doesn't come naturally. But like I said, I could still do the tattoo fast,
Hmm.
but towards the end, I can, I'm not doing it fast because there's someone else coming in. So at the end, I can, if I want to just hang out and think about maybe something to kind of some finishing touches or whatever, I have the liberty to do so, and it's been helping.
Nice. Uh,
Plus, it
um,
gives you that extra time to develop more content. Like when you're taking more pictures or video, or if it's nicer or
Yeah.
cleaner, then you have the content, and the high quality content is going to bring more money anyway. So you don't have to like bust your ass all day, every day to get
Yeah.
booked out and to do good stuff. I've been enjoying having, at the most of the days, like one large project or two decent sized
Right.
projects, and then every now and then I have like a day with some smaller pieces, which breaks it up too, so that's nice as well. So you get to enjoy the whole mix. But yeah, it's
Definitely.
definitely nice to have like a schedule where you're not busting your ass, dude. Like if you're now focusing on taking more time, like I've always enjoyed that. it's the chill vibe when doing it. Like I was saying with the drawn on stuff that I saw, that's awesome. I did that today, and it was such a nice way to warm up to the tattoo. Just draw it on. You get the hand movement. You're chilling with the client. Like it's not as serious, where you're tattooing and it's maximum effort. But the drawing, especially when you're starting off with those like lighter color Sharpies or whatever, and you're getting loose, and you don't have to worry about if those marks are accurate or not.
Yeah, thankfully during the after the storm, we lost internet, so I had like 3 or 4 appointments where I could just draw on the stencil, which was so helpful. I was like, thank goodness, because I am not able to send this to anything. So
Word.
Oh man, yeah. Definitely, like I've definitely noticed a difference since we've been back. I feel like things are starting to get more consistent. I feel like that 3 month break was kind of just what I needed, even though it's so long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I think it was just what I needed, where I felt comfortable. Because once at least I got back, I felt like I was like home and ready to go. I was energetic. Even now, I still feel like that. We're going on officially like 3 months or 2 months tomorrow since we've been, back on track.
Yeah.
And it's been, I've like enjoyed every second of it. Even if I've done like some smaller stuff, I've done, a couple of smaller pieces. I think the first 2 weeks I did like 3 or 4 giant ass pieces. I'm just like, oh Jesus Christ, I'm so exhausted. But it's like a good exhaustion. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's always been like a good exhaustion. Like every time I get out of work, I'm just like, man, it's been a long day, but it's a good long day. It's not like I wasted my time. Like with Bryant, like he's talking about how like his style, it's been, he's not making that bread, but he still gets to do what he wants. I'm at a point where I'm 5.5 years in, and I definitely want to slowly start moving into the style I enjoy
Full
doing.
Trisco, thank you for the follow.
I don't know how it feels for anybody else here, but like it's a little harder on my end just because I do have a family. I have a son, I have a wife, I have a house. I pretty much, I'm an adult. I got adult things I got to take care of. So it's hard I can't just straight up be like, I'm just doing new school or new school, just neo traditional, because I can't turn away everybody like that. But I always see it this way. Like at least if I do the smaller stuff, it'll get me to those bigger things. And, I keep my mindset on that. One of the things that my mentor always taught me was, got to hustle. In this industry, you got to hustle. Everybody wants, which is great. That's great. I still want to produce good work in the process. And I feel like at this point, like since being back from quarantine, it's definitely feel like I'm hustling, and I get to do a lot of pieces I enjoy doing overall.
Yeah, I think people having a little bit extra money as well. They're looking for larger pieces, and then when you're looking for a larger piece, you're more bound to go to somebody that is good in that style or specializes in that style. So one of my clients hit me up, and it was a piece I did a little while back, and they've been working throughout the whole break, and they got a stimulus check, and he's like, this is my budget, and I want something traditional, and I want it on my arm. And that just opens it to so many things, but he came to me because that's what I do. So so he didn't really know what he wanted. It wasn't, oh, I want this or this. It was, he gave me a style. He didn't give me a direction. So I just drew a boat, and he got a boat, and then it covered his whole arm. The clouds and roses and the whole 9 yards, and it was a great tattoo. And he was more than happy to pay what I wanted to charge for it. So I think that is a benefit to right now too, is people have some money, which it doesn't seem like a time where people would have money, but they do. So I don't know.
right. And that's not everyone has money, but the people that do or have been working through this time or got that extra stimulus and was like, what do I do with this?
Right.
They're still around, which is cool.
Right.
Yeah, it's true. So I mean, some people have been making that extra, just that little bit of extra cash to do things like this. Um, I think it's been interesting. You know, I don't know if you guys have felt a difference prior to the quarantine, uh, but I feel like I don't know if its clients feel definitely more comfortable, more enjoyable around us because it's like they finally get to do something instead of being like cooped up. I've talked to some clients. I've talked to most of my clients, asked them like, oh, what were you doing during this quarantine situation? What have you like not been working? Have been working? Surprisingly, I've had a lot of clients who have been essential workers who've worked through this and have like nothing's changed for them. And I've had some clients that have been like, I'm on furlough, so I've kind of just been out of work or I've been laid off because it's, there's only a certain percentage of people that they want working. So I've had to kind of essentially either, you know, work with unemployment or the stimulus check. I definitely had a client who had the stimulus check and he used it to get tattooed. So it worked out in my favor. Uh, but yeah, I mean, it's been an interesting ride over the past couple of months, especially with having to do the extra protocols for us, which isn't
Yeah.
really that much. You know what I mean? Because we, as tattoo artists, it for us like we have to essentially focus on the medical aspect of it too. And I don't think a lot of people realize this, but we have to make sure that we don't cross contaminate. We have to make sure that like everybody's safe, including ourselves. Uh, so it's kind of been a bit of a norm for us, even though we've had a couple of extra things that we've had to add on to our protocols at our shop. But otherwise, it's kind of run smoothly, I feel.
I'd say like the biggest difference is obviously the mask. Just getting used to that, especially like wearing glasses is never fun. But other than that, like we're the pre-check just when you come in, you know what I mean, is just making sure you don't have COVID. But nothing's really changed for me in that aspect. I would say as far as like the tattooing aspect, because once I'm back, I'm in. We're tattooing. It's there's no change in that procedure. Um, as far as like anything different, one thing it has cut down on, actually, I've been getting a lot of messages about people wanting to get matching tattoos, and as soon as I tell them only one person in at a time, they're like, oh, I'll rethink this. So I haven't had to do any matching tattoos or mother daughter or sister brother, whatever.
I still see a lot done at our shop, and they're totally fine with waiting in the car and then swapping out. Which I mean, I would just be so bored. But hey,
I mean,
that's what, if people want something, there's only one way to get it. You got to
Yeah.
follow the rules. So that's just,
Yeah,
that's
we've had a few of those in our shop. I've definitely done a handful of those. Usually, what we try to do is people are trying to get the same matching tattoo, or if they're trying to get tattooed at the same time, we try to book to where both are. There's at least
two
another
different
artist.
artists. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the only other way. Otherwise, kind of shit out of luck.
Yeah, but I'm in this shop, where there's like these guys who are, booked out for like freaking ever. Like, so I don't think that's a thing. I'm like, I don't know. I don't think so. But we
Nice.
actually have at our shop a new apprentice who's freaking amazing as far as artistry. Like, I'm excited to see this person get into the tattoo world.
Oh, I
I
bet she's
love
be
that.
good.
Yeah.
Her stuff is awesome. I like her
Oh,
her
yeah.
art a lot, man.
I can already see where this is going for her. You know what I mean? I'm like, just look at like Brando Ochiesa or whatever. You know what I mean? That anime or whatever is just gonna take off. So
Yeah, anime's been kind of a big deal in the tattoo industry. I've been following a lot of artists who just work anime, and it's been interesting to say the least.
yeah, and they're posting like all the time. I'm like, they're not no shortage. And then even the Pokemon tattoo I did yesterday, it's just blowing up. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Nice.
okay.
Yeah, back at the New England convention, I did that Full Metal Alchemist piece. That thing, that thing blew up. Like that thing blew up pretty heavily during that time when I posted it. But I mean, it's interesting to see this industry go into that uh, I guess nerdy culture. It's the best way to
Yeah.
describe
Oh
it.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Uh,
I
it's
think,
it's
yeah, tattooing is, I think, is just very pop culture
yes,
inspired lately, as in the past few years, like since I started tattooing. It's always
yep.
been very pop culture inspired, and it was always something in the beginning that I didn't really want to dive into, only because like I am like a big anti fan art kind of guy.
But
I
yet
guess
you've got like tons of like pop culture pieces on you.
yeah, but they're all like
Authentic.
if someone was
Yeah.
gonna do like a Pokemon tattoo on me, like you trace the Pokemon that Nintendo drew. You know, like I'm not gonna draw you the Pokemon. I'm gonna trace the Pokemon because it already exists. So like fan art, like if someone asked me for like a certain character doing something that like I couldn't find an actual picture of them doing, I'd probably be like, nah, it's no. But it was also like I think it comes in waves too. Like anime is like this huge thing right now where people are, everyone watches anime, and
Yeah.
um, before I think the pop culture, it was Rick and Morty. It was like Rick and Morty tattoos all
That's
over
still
the
a thing.
Rick and Morty flash sheets. Like I don't even like Rick and Morty, but I've done like 2 or 3 Rick and Morty tattoos,
Uh,
um, and it
have
just is
you?
so popular.
Yeah.
So I
Have
think anime is just like the new thing.
yeah. I've seen some stuff anime wise that have been like I've noticed that are like kind of soft tattoos. Like they're like very light, like thin line work, very lighter color tones. Definitely, they don't use black. I'm like, I wonder how that's going to heal up in a couple of years. I wonder if that's still going to be there. Yeah, I think I think the same thing.
No.
Um,
Like this isn't really like a shit post kind of podcast, but like that like Daryl mentioned Brandon Chiesa or
Oh
whatever.
yeah. We know who. Yeah.
Ta- Tattoo Tooth Fairy, like that's all I gotta say. Like
Yeah.
yeah,
that dude uses all sorts of crazy filters and stuff on his photos, and they heal like absolute garbage. Like there, none of those vibrant neon colors actually heal. His tattoos look near decrepit and like falling out of people's skin. Like
Woo.
it's one of those like you're famous because you altered your image, and you added some like crazy neon textures to like the photo of your tattoo, and
There's
then like
something to, there's something to be said about that though.
like I'll try to dig for like some of these photos I've seen. I'll send it to the group chat later. It's just like you got to
Oh,
just be careful of stuff like that.
yeah,
It's hit.
true.
Like these things are hit, and this dude's probably making bango bucks. Just
Right.
ripping people
Exactly.
off.
That's our
Oh yeah.
business, man. And
yeah,
I've gotten away from taking photos for tattooers because fuck off. Like
Yeah,
tattooers don't like your shit.
right.
That's it.
yeah,
You know
But
who
then
likes your shit? Everybody else. Like
so
that's what
yeah,
you got to take photos for.
there's these
yeah.
other dudes that are doing anime tattoos that
True.
100% saturate the tattoo
Mm-hmm.
with like skin tone. Okay, so like an anime skin tone, so it looks phenomenal, and like the skill that it takes to saturate a skin tone like that is probably like
I'm still trying to figure that
to
out
saturate
myself.
anything is great, but like give that tattoo like a few years and then see what that skin tone really looks like. Like I don't trust it. Like those
Uh,
colors, they turn orangey, they change. Things change in the skin, and then that character is gonna have it's gonna look like a Oompa Loompa like Trump hybrid, with like big goofy anime eyes. So like it's to me, it's like you look at these images and you're like, wow, this guy like knows what he's doing. And then you see that color in a few years and you're like, that's not what this was supposed to look like. I've
it's
done
it's
a few anime tattoos, but like I don't saturate like I did them in more of like a traditional way. I did some whip shading, and like they still looked awesome, and I saw them 3 years later and they still look good.
uh,
But like I just don't trust that like full saturation of like skin tone. I just don't. I've
I think it's all
seen
trial and error though.
realism. I just don't know.
Yeah,
That's
I
the
think
thing
it's all.
is none of us know. At the same time, the pigments now are so much better than they were.
Yeah.
So much better. Like you're talking about ink 5 years ago compared to ink now is ridiculous.
Yeah. I think it's all trial and error. Like perfect example is like Nico Hurtado. He like I remember reading like stuff about him where tattoos that he had done like 10 plus years ago. He tried techniques that obviously he doesn't try now because he realizes they didn't work. So like for instance, like he didn't use a lot of black around his like portrait stuff, back in the day. Up until the past couple of years.
Thanks
So
for the gifted subs.
Then he finally actually started using a lot
Good
more
luck,
black
Sant.
around
What
his
up?
portraits and stuff to keep that solid, to keep things. Keep it
Welcome,
looking fresh.
Disneyland Acid.
Angela's
boss level
perfect
on
example.
our Angry
'Cause he
Pencil,
has-
Chicago
he's done by
Bed.
Nico.
Michael,
And if you notice, he does
MJ.
have some actual like good black saturation
Got the
around
subs.
that tattoo to keep it solid, keep it going. If it's not on the outside, it's on the inside to keep it together.
you are going to have emotes.
It's all trial and
have to
error,
upload
man.
it.
Like
You're
over the
gonna have
past
a
couple of
tattooed
years,
kappa.
people
Kappa.
have been doing a lot more anime tattoos or a lot more pop culture tattoos.
Coming in
We
the next
obviously
week.
aren't going to know what they're going to look like 5 years from now. It also depends on our clientele and how well they take care of their tattoos. It's same thing with portraits. You know what I mean? Portraits, you don't, especially colored portraits, you don't know how they're going to heal up. You can do them. They come out great when you first see them. They come out great. They still look good like a year later, but you don't know what they're going to look like 5-10 years down the line. And it's all trial and error. We're still, even as artists, as tattoo artists, we're still learning. And that's, no matter what, we're always learning. We're always picking up new techniques, new ideas to establish in what we do.
Definitely, man. I mean, I think every tattoo you're experimenting with something in some form or way. You're thinking about, oh, if I do this here, it's going to do this, and you're drawing on experiences that you had before, where you did something. Maybe before you wouldn't have thrown white, but now you throw in white because it locks in that placeholder, so ink won't go into there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So things like that,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I recently have noticed, especially in my my Instagram feed, a lot of tattoos that have been showing up have been kind of portrait like, but with a weird twist to it, where they add like graffiti in like the faces and stuff like that.
like Pirozhenko and like
Yeah.
it looks like mixed media.
Yeah.
What
I've been
about I'm
noticing
Tattoo,
that's
man?
That's been picking up.
I love
lately.
I'm Tattoo.
Dude,
I
I'm
him
Tattoo.
so
I
bad.
was just about to bring him up for so many reasons
Oh
because
my God.
first off, he's been doing insane shit, showing it
he's
healed,
amazing.
and the healed shit is so fucking good. It's like broken.
Blows my
It's
mind.
the sickest
Blows my
saturation.
mind.
That's
The
been starting
level
to
of
pick. I've
detail
noticed
sick.
that's been picking up lately.
I think
where
it's
been, like,
Igor
realism, but
Mataranov
like
or something.
some graffiti in
He's a beast.
like, like if it's a portrait, it's like graffiti stuff inside the portrait as like a tattoo and stuff like that. I've been noticing that a lot lately. It's been slowly starting to pick up, and I feel like that's going to be the new trend.
Well, what it is
next,
like
year.
just thinking about that background ahead of time, and like even like now we're learning from Ernesto, he works background to foreground, and I'm like, he just locks it all in, and I'm like,
Crazy.
oh, okay, like it's
Yeah.
crazy to think about that stuff, but like that's what you do, and I'm like, okay.
I work line work to color.
Word.
I mean, we're all finding that like what works best for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
What might
for
work
sure.
best for me might not work best for you.
Definitely
what
not.
works
Plenty
best
of
for
good
you
ways
might not
to do
work best
different
for me.
tattoos.
It's just
We're all different. You know what I mean? No tattooer holds the machine the same. You know what I mean? Everyone's gonna figure it out for themselves.
I know a dude who holds the tattoo machine between like his two fingers like this. So like he holds it like right here, so like this, and he tattoos like that.
Crazy.
It's like the weirdest shit.
I
that
don't
I've
hold.
seen.
I don't hold the tattoo machine at all. I hold the tube.
Well,
Smart. Big brained
Us
it.
pens, our pen
All that
style
too.
machines are totally different than that.
Oh, right. Okay.
There's an artist I follow too who he works in like a new school nerdy aspect. What he does is he'll like, especially big pieces, he'll gray wash the whole thing. But when he gray washes it, like I actually had to ask him, like, are you gray washing it or are you actually using actual gray? Because like the way he shows, like takes his pictures, it looks very gray. But he's like, I gray wash it, and then I have them come back, and then once it's all healed up, he like re-outlines it, the gray wash where it needs to be as like a solid black outline. It's like it's interesting how he does it. Thomas Bowman, he's another artist that like I got tattooed by him. I got like, it's hard to see, but I got that Spider-Man from him. I watched him, and I watched him tattoo, and when he was tattooing me, he like, as he like colors and stuff, he'll stop for a second. He'll dip his finger in white and then rub the white over the tattoo, and then wipe the tattoo, and then he just keeps going back in. And I asked him, and he's like, "It's just something I've done through my
With
career, and it just
no
like
gloves.
it works." Yeah,
With gloves.
Just
and
dips
like
it.
I feel like part of the reason he does
Get a little
that is
extra
like
under the fingernail for later.
he just spits on it. He just puts the ink in his mouth. But no, it's interesting because like then I try to figure out why he does it, because he's like, it's just something I do, and part of me feels like the reason why he does it is, um, when you tattoo, your pores are slightly open at that point because you're causing trauma to the skin. So part of that white goes into that skin, and you color right over it, and I must have a better blend to it, because like my Spider-Man on my wrist, it's probably like one of my favorite tattoos. It's for my son, but it's probably one of my favorite tattoos because of just watching him and how he does it. And it's like everybody has like their unique style and unique way of doing things, and I find that interesting. And I that's one of the things why I like being a tattoo artist, because I learn something new every day. So I don't know. What about you guys?
I like it.
I've been trying to do more of the projects with full saturation. Like I've been enjoying those anime style, cell shaded type of deals, and
Dude, that
I'll
Akira
have
piece you
at
did
the
was pretty sweet.
thank
Oh
you.
yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, I'll have at those skin tones all day. I'll go right in. Fuck it. It's for the Insta, baby.
That's right.
No, but I do want to see it healed well. Like I definitely try to see them afterwards and keep track, but you got to do your own math on that, because no matter what someone else can do doesn't mean you're gonna nail that. So it's definitely like a trial and error
that
process.
piece you did last week was pretty sweet.
Thank you,
It was
dude.
like highly
We spent some
detailed.
time.
Which piece?
Yeah.
Akira's
The
motorcycle.
motorcycle.
Oh yeah.
Or well,
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
that
not
was-
Akira. It's what is
Akira?
it? Kenshi? Like I can't remember the dude's name right now.
Well, it's from Akira.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
that bike, when I saw that, I'm like, God damn, dude. Because it wasn't like it's like a huge piece, too. It was a good size, like small size piece that you put a good amount of detail into.
Yeah, those are the pieces sometimes, like honestly, if that one was bigger or something, or like in perspective and abstracted, it could have been done probably even faster, but it was fun to bang it out at like a size where it fit on the leg, because she's got some plans for some more mecha on it.
Nice.
Oh yeah, Kaneda's bike. That's what it is, dude. I'm telling you, Akira on Hulu, watch it. Like the art is gnarly. The shit that they were doing, it's like 1980s. It's fucking glorious.
Yeah, I'm
I
gonna have to
totally
rewatch
didn't
it. I haven't
remember
seen
it.
it in years.
Trust me, it's the explosions, the fire, the shit that they're fucking. Oh my god, the way that they're drawing things in it, so cool.
Yeah, it's been a few years since I've seen that, and I'll definitely have to like rewatch it soon. For you guys, anything that's coming up soon that you guys are excited about to do?
I have a portrait tomorrow. Dog portrait.
Nice.
Or not tomorrow. Tuesday.
Word.
Color black and gray.
Black and gray. Originally it was supposed to be like background, and he wanted like a landscape, and he eventually wanted like he had like sent me like a bunch of pictures of his dogs, but he decided on this what's it called? Just one of both of them, which the layout is super cool. So I'm excited to do it, and I haven't done a dog portrait in a while, and I obviously love dogs, so I'm excited about it.
Anybody else?
Tomorrow I'm doing a I don't know the style, kind of like a illustrative kind of new school. It's like a zombie schoolgirl, like a Japanese.
Sweet.
That'll be
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. So like
Yeah, have
just kind
some
of
fun
like
with that.
the head and the buzz. Like it was from a reference, the mouth kind of like torn open and some things like a bunch of color and stuff like that. So
That'll be cool.
a little bit out of my norm, but
Fuck it. Why not?
Your saturation's on point, so I trust that it'll be good.
Yeah, I think this one had like pink skin and like yellow eyes and stuff, like in the mouth's all torn open. So
Cool.
I might just do like maybe like a cool tone version of it. Do like maybe like those like smokes and purple kind of colors for the skin, and instead of like the brighter tones, go like darker or like cooler tones, but still bright. I don't know, something. I just wing it. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't like theorize. I don't put it on paper beforehand. I don't use an iPad beforehand to like color my drawings and then look at what it's going to look like. I just do it.
Perfect segue to the one subject that we talked about before we started the TatCast,
Yes.
which is, why do clients ask you if you're going to send them art ahead of time? And is that something you ever like to do or do? And how do you avoid it if you do? And go.
Definitely not.
Hold on.
Definitely not.
Hold on. Before you do that, Angel, you're still the last one to answer my question.
Oh, what was it? Sorry.
Oh, is there anything in the upcoming future that you're excited to do that's coming up?
I have
within like next couple of weeks.
I have so many big projects and things that I'm continuing that I don't really want to leave anything out. But after discussing the one the other day for the Avatar one, I'm hyped because I'm about to watch Legend of Korra. So that's my first time around on the Legend of Korra, so I'm pretty excited now that I get to see that. Just dropped. So I'm hoping to cover a lot of that ground like today, tomorrow, Tuesday, and get some good homework done, even though we're probably not using those references. It'll still be fun.
Nice. Yeah, because that's funny, because as you said that's actually what one of my favorite pieces that's coming up that I'm gonna be able to do. Like I have a couple of good pieces coming up that I'm excited, but I actually have a back piece. It's gonna be a back Last Airbender / Legend of Korra piece I get to do, and it's gonna be my second back piece I get to do, to at least start. So I'm excited about that one. Yeah, definitely gonna rewatch Legend of Korra. I'm still I'm watching another show right now that I got to finish up before I start that one up, but I'm excited about that too myself. But,
all right, now back to if clients are legitimately able to get drawings beforehand.
Yeah, good.
For me, no, and I'll tell you what, I found a solid way of avoiding it. That's being totally honest with people, just telling them, hey, I'm very busy. I'm probably going to draw for your tattoo the night before, if you're lucky, 2 nights before. If you sometimes, super rarely, if someone's like really adamant about it for like a huge type of project that I'm conceiving mostly myself, I will sometimes send a super rough sketch, sometimes even just like bubbles with stuff written in it on a body part, like to show like what I'm thinking and where things are going to go. But I really don't like to, and I much prefer to just do it and get it ready, and people generally just like the art, so it's better that way. But a lot of people have been asking lately, and I just explained to them that as politely as I can.
Yeah, so the past week has been pretty easy. I just blamed it on my internet for a little bit. But unfortunately, like, to be honest, if you're a customer out there watching, most of us do draw the night before, and we do conceptualize and detailed think about what your tattoo is going to be. But at the same time, we go through hundreds of references to choose what design we're going to be putting on you. Now, if we send you all 100 of these references we're looking at to let you choose, you're really not getting a tattoo that you're getting from your artist. You're basically saying, put this on me, right? So um at,
That
at
does
that
happen.
point at that point the main reason why I don't do I have, sent drawings in the past, but the main reason is because when you do those and you spent a shit ton of time doing it, there's 500 changes before you even get a final project, and you're spending 10 times more time trying to make all these changes be- because they've had, I don't know, like 2 days prior to look at it, and they're like, I was thinking this actually, or this actually, instead of like making a commitment to getting that piece done from you.
So I think it's fair to say that all of us here are tattooers that don't do the whole we only draw once your appointment shows up artists.
Yeah.
What's with those
Well,
guys?
unless we don't know anything about the tattoo and they don't tell us till they actually get there.
Yeah. I've sent drawings in the past, but I'm not afraid of like them taking it and like going somewhere else and getting it done cheaper, or like all these other things that people say like can happen if you send your design to somebody. Um, I usually send them to people that the only thing that they ask me to do for them is a tattoo, which is the most vague thing ever. So
Yeah.
I'm just like, hey, I just want to make sure that like, oh, you're an artist, just draw something up. I like all your stuff. Get it, draw it, and I'll get it. So I think of something cool, but then I'm like, you know what? They're gonna they're gonna hate it. And it's just like they say that because like they're trying to be like really easygoing, and then sometimes I've sent them and they're just like, yeah, I don't know if I'd get that, and it's like, well, so now when people ask me to like do my thing, and just draw them something, I'm like, you need to give me at least a word. Like you need to give me some
Word.
some
Nice.
direction. Like you need to just say like this, and then like that happened for my raffle winner, for my virus raffle winner, and he's like, I just want your art, just draw something, do your thing. And I was like, I texted him, the day before or that day, and I go in early and draw. I don't do the night before. And I was like, can you just please give me like some direction at all? Because like I drew something for someone a few days prior. He's like, oh, I'll like it, I'll get whatever. And he was like, you have anything else? So I was like, "Eh." So he was like, oh, I like the Hanya masks you're doing. So I drew my Hanya mask. Easy as that. Just tell me what you like, and I'll draw it. But usually I don't send them the drawings, only because I just finished drawing it maybe 5 minutes prior to them showing up for their appointment. So I have no time to send it to them. I'll just show it to them when they walk in the door. So
um, yeah, for me, yeah, I usually tell them like I usually don't draw until the night before. I've had a few clients who've tried to, ask me either via email or whatever, and I'm like, you know, listen, I normally don't draw till the night before just because I have other clients that I have to draw for on a regular basis. So it's not like they're my, I don't tell them this part, but they're not our own clients. We have other clients. Um, on occasion, like it's very rare when I actually do send them like at least a rough sketch of of the piece. And usually it's either for friends of mine or clients I've had for years, that I've tattooed for years. Then I'd be like, yeah, what do you think of this? If there's any change that need to be made, best thing about having an iPad, because it doesn't take very long, rather than actually having it on, pen and paper, pencil and paper or whatever, when then you have to redraw everything. Most of the time, people are majority of the time people are understanding. Uh, it's very rare when people kind of haven't come across anybody who actually ends up getting annoyed by that. But a lot of times, usually people are like, "Okay, I understand," you know. Uh, and most of the time, like if it's usually a change, it's usually something minor, or like they end up seeing what I have and like, "Holy shit, that's definitely different than what I was expecting," but it's awesome, worth it. Uh, like the other day, actually yesterday, I had to do a traditional hourglass, and he had actually emailed me like that morning and asked me if he could see the design. And he wasn't really sure, and I'm like, I didn't even get a chance to respond to him because I had my whole day booked. So when he saw it, he's like, "Dude, that's exactly what I wanted." I wasn't really sure whether I wasn't really sure what design was going to be, so I was a little worried. Just because it takes me a very long time to decide on what I want. But you pretty much nailed it. You sent me the references. He sent me references, months ago, and I was able to kind of look at the references and then come up with my own idea. And and it fit exactly where he wanted it. He was happy with it. Everything worked out fine. So yeah, in situations like that, it's I usually tell them like, unfortunately, I don't like to show anybody anything prior, and because I don't draw until the night before, and you see it the day of, and then if we need to make any changes, make changes. That's usually how it works, at least from my end. So, well, how do you guys? I don't know if I remember if we talked about this prior and any of the other episodes, but how do you how do you guys feel about like when people are like, "Oh, I want tattoo to face me, so because it's for me, and I want it upside down." Essentially, how do you guys handle that? Obviously, two of you I've kind of talked to about this before. Obviously, Daryl.
Oh, I did one after quarantine. I did. It was literally the last tattoo that I did at my other shop, and I was just like, sure, let's
Yeah,
do it. Rock and roll.
it doesn't
It's all
happen.
you, girl.
It doesn't happen with me because I don't do the type of tattoos I guess that people would request them to be upside down. If they asked for one of my tattoos upside down, it would just be like, like I don't understand. Like this is an eagle. Why is he hanging
I
upside
feel
down?
like
Oh, I step away.
I feel like if you have to ask a question, it's already going upside down.
Yeah.
Usually, you know
Yep.
what I mean? Like if you're like, you already know. Like in your
Yeah,
head,
but
you go, "Oh, facing you, right?" And they're like, "Yeah." You're like, "Oh,
Is this for me
it's
or
for
you?
you.
wait."
Is this for me or is this for you?
Yeah,
I need to
love
know.
that shit.
And then I don't know. It is
I
like
just go like I just take it. I used to take it and kind of like hover it over the spot that they wanted to, until they said like, yeah, that's a good spot, and then they'd be like, oh no, but like, like just flip it this way, and I was like,
That's the best. Those hand
I
movements.
usually it goes the flipping goes very slow. You're like so at an angle ish like this,
like just keep going, yeah, a little more,
just
A little more.
more, and
perfect,
then afterwards they go like this. Is it straight?
yeah.
Where
Yeah.
180 degrees different, but
That's
yeah.
the thing is like, is it straight? It's for you. Like you tell me. Like I don't know. Like,
I
Word.
I just don't do it anymore. So
but yeah, it happens. Definitely a thing. Um. Uh. I think one of my favorite post quarantine tattoo stories that I had was actually doing a tribal armband. Like I wasn't super stoked to do it, but like the people are cool. And like you kind of know like the guy getting the tribal armband, like you can picture him. You know what I mean? And like uh his girlfriend kept calling it a rap. He's like, we're gonna get this rap. I'm like, tribal armband, come on. That's something you get at Subway, man. Like, relax. And like halfway through, he goes like, so like in the 80s, like, like if you wore an earring, and like halfway through, I'm like, oh, it's totally gay. Like this is totally
Yes.
gay. He's like, no. I'm like,
Nah. Yes, dude, I love that, dude. That's a high level troll right there.
Oh man, I always say like so shitty '90s tribal.
Oh, it was the epitome of tribal armband is what it was. Like it was
Ooh.
Pamela Anderson's, like totally.
Oh, damn.
Word.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah,
It's
I'm not a
crazy.
big fan of armbands that are like the parallel ones in any form lately. Like I do them sometimes, but it's always difficult to
Black
line up.
armbands.
Yeah, like on the forearm it's all right. On the upper arm it's difficult because the upper arm's not really as cylindrical, so it's kind of annoying to line it up. And everyone's got their own like secret recipe for how they get it done. But
Mhm.
yeah, I've definitely just like I'll do them, but I just like charge what I feel like I really need to like deal with the stress of it all.
Yeah.
So I do that, but that's even getting back to the drawing front. Like, there's always those two extra options, which is like the draw it on option, and also, um, kind of like having them pay you for the art. Like some of my clients that are like super particular, I'm like get to the point if they don't like just totally get fed up with me, like, no, I really want to draw it like the night before. Um, and they're like, no, I really want to see it ahead of time. Is there anything that can be done? And then I'm like, well, you can pay me $100 an hour for the drawing time. And people are down to do that. You'd be surprised how many people are down to do that.
Wow.
So that's like, I mean, most of the time I don't factor in too much of the drawing time. So I try to work by the piece. And if it's a big enough project, then I just take a big enough deposit to warrant it. Um, but that has happened like a couple times lately, which is pretty decent. I don't mind that approach.
I mean, yeah. I mean, on the back end, like that's things that I personally don't charge for. You know what I mean? And like telling people like, oh, your tattoo is gonna take this long, but they always ask like, how long is the tattoo gonna take? Like in the back of my mind, I'm like, this drawing is gonna take me 2-3 hours at least. You know what I mean?
If you really care about the piece, fuck yeah. Like if
yeah,
it's a
oh,
big
yeah.
piece. Oh yeah. So
Mhm.
that's something I think you kind of have to factor in if you're really going to be like trying to get your real worth and be an ethical tattooer, because otherwise you're going to hit that wall where you're just not getting paid for the efforts you're putting in. And when you hit that, that's no fun, and then it de-incentivizes the whole happiness and enjoyment process. So just gotta fucking do it.
That's another thing. Like obviously things are different now for us because we're so many years in. But remember, remember back in the day when you guys start and you wouldn't really know how to charge somebody for a tattoo.
Yeah, shoot
You weren't
yourself in the
really
foot.
like
I still do it
100%
sometimes.
sure. Like, oh, should I charge them this much or not?
I have no idea how to do that.
Yeah, right.
That was always
Exactly.
that was always very
Still getting slapped
stressful.
around by that.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
feel
every
like
once in a while, it's still hard
the
to determine that.
the industry is like changing like every 2 seconds. You know what I mean? Like, what's this person charging? And you have to compare like what that person's charging to you, and can I
New supply
charge that?
cost.
Oh God, like now I have to buy gloves. They don't
Outside.
exist. They don't exist. I'm like, where do you do this?
Maticide, Cavicide, hand sanitizer, gloves.
No,
The prices are going through
Yeah.
the fucking roof, and we haven't
It's
even
insane.
started with
Stressful
some
right
of the
now.
issues. So
Even
that's like,
cartridges
yeah,
are
carts are
stupid
going up.
price right
Yeah,
now.
Yep.
the
It's
needles I
it's
haven't found to be that bad, but yeah, it's
Before
definitely
it was 25 for like 20 a pack of 20. Now it's 25 for a pack of 10. I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
depends who you buy from. That
yeah,
sounds
it does
expensive.
depend on who you buy from. Yeah, like that's the other thing about with everything that's been going on, for us as tattoo artists, it's all our equipment stuff has gone slightly up, so it also it affects us in a way where a lot of stuff we use it's medical stuff, so it affects us in a way where we're like, oh shit, so we kind of have to work around what we have and possibly have to charge people a little more, or tattoo supplies companies don't have nearly as much, so it's been scarce. Especially gloves. When it comes down to it, gloves have been very scarce for us. Uh, I, Surprisingly enough, we have one of our coworkers, Megan. She wears small gloves, and they're hard for her to find, and that's saying a lot because I
yeah,
feel
smalls
like
are everywhere.
yeah, like smalls are everywhere, but she can't. She has a hard time finding them,
Jeez.
and that's saying a lot as it is. I just hope that like during this, things are fine. Hopefully eventually things are gonna wind down a little bit to enough to where our equipment isn't going to be affected as much. You know, with us being at the shop, we've helped. We've been helping. We try our best to help Angelo. And, we'll buy some of our own extra supplies for the shop, and it's gotten to that point essentially.
Yeah,
I've
like even like today. So I was tattooing, and he saw me go live with the Pokemon tattoo, and his wife asked that I go live today tattooing so she could see what was going on, right? So I'm halfway through, and my
Yeah,
live shuts down.
you went live like 10 times today.
Yeah, I noticed
right?
that.
So every time I do, my live shuts down.
Oh,
I have to change gloves. You know what I mean? To
oh,
get
rip.
my phone,
Wow.
and so I'm sitting there. He's like,
That's
"Oh, do
like
you mind?"
$10 in
The thing
post.
shut, and the thing shut down. And he's like, "Do you mind turning?" I'm like, "Can I just get through the line work so that I don't have to change gloves?" You know what I mean? And I physically said that. He's like, "Yeah, I guess." I was like, "What do you mean, you guess? Like, it's not important that it's live."
People don't understand that. That's the rough part about it. That's the frustrating part is people don't understand that. Like our clients don't understand what it takes for us to have that equipment like that. A lot of that's coming out of either our pockets or our boss's pocket, and we essentially are paying our portion of that to actually have those supplies at the shop. And a lot of clients don't understand that, like on how that works. Um, it's gotten to a point where at our shop now we have separate gloves just to clean up just
Can't
clean
give
up our
away the
station
spreads,
just
baby.
to make
No, you
sure.
have to. You have
Huh?
to. You have
Yeah,
to.
you kind of have to. You have to have separate gloves, set of gloves, just so you can clean up your station, so that you don't use the gloves that you normally use for tattooing.
Yeah.
No.
Duh. I mean, that's what you have to do now. Like,
Yeah.
no one wants to tattoo with, I'm sorry, powder-free latex gloves. No one does. Like,
Most people
that's why
don't.
they're available. They're like, the chance of them actually having an allergic reaction is like 50-50.
I want to
So,
wear those like super baggy like clear vinyl ones that like
Yeah,
hairdressers
dude, those are the
or like
scariest.
Dude,
Oh,
you
I've
get those
seen
out like
people use that
CVS.
back
or
in
like
the
the
day.
pictures of the scratchers like they're wearing one on their stretching hand and then
Oh my
wearing a glove
god,
on the other hand.
You would
it's
like
so
those, Nick?
gross.
And there's like it's
Oh,
just like
shit.
the fingertips are so like baggy, they're just like it's so crazy.
Oh, I hate those.
Oh my
they
god.
want
remind me of
some of
like the
those.
lunch lady.
I want some of those.
That was the first time I ever seen those used live in tattooing was when I went to trade Darren from Visual to trade him a purse for my first ever tattoo machine back in the day. Got that Pulse Watson off him for a fucking Coach little purse thing that we won from a raffle. He's balling, and he was tattooing with those big old vinyl gloves. I looked at him, I was like, "What the fuck is that?" I was like, "Did he plastic wrap his fucking fingers?"
Jeez.
Uh,
Pretty
That
soon
was
we're gonna have
amazing.
to wear those dishwashing gloves just to tattoo.
Oh,
Try to
that's
get
not
those-
a bad
those
idea,
rubber
dude. It
gloves
might
they
be
use for
cheaper.
dishwashing. Have to wipe those down.
It's a one-shot deal because it goes to the. I've bought some pairs of the super long gloves before, but it just doesn't have the same feel.
Oh man, yo, all
The
right.
armrest things,
Let's
the
talk
arm
about-
things aren't bad.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've been using those arm we call this sleeves
Yeah, me too.
and like the the aprons and stuff on certain pieces. I don't use them at all. Just if it's something small, there's no point in like wasting.
Yeah, I mean,
That
you're not going to
equipment.
get up and in there. Those bigger pieces,
Yeah.
though, it helps a lot to be able to have
Oh yeah,
those better spots to
definitely.
rest on.
Especially since I don't stain any of my clothes anymore. But yo, let's talk about that Dan Cuban liner. Like, goddamn.
Dude, I told you as soon as I fucking tried it, and then I was like fiending for it. I tried
Giving
Brian's
away
one
more of
day.
the strat.
Yeah, I know.
Dude, yeah, I tried Brian's too, and I was like, yo, this is like my new favorite thing.
I did want to cover machines. I know, Daryl, you were talking about that fucking Numa rotary. I don't
The
know if you
Numa
ever picked
4.
anything up, but
No,
like,
I still need to buy the Numa 4. That's what my next machine for sure.
You
And-
need
Yeah.
to buy a Dan Cuban sidewinder.
yeah,
But
bro.
I can't attach my lightning bolt to your Dan Cuban Sidewinder. I'm sorry. Like,
Well, use a clip cord like an adult. I don't know.
no,
Trust me.
no.
It's the
No,
one
but
time where
wireless,
it's okay to use a
wireless,
clipboard. It's the one
wireless is the way
time.
to go. I'm sorry. The wireless has just changed everything. Like I don't
I
have to
mean, for
fight it
black and
anymore.
gray,
It's
yeah,
so
but
nice.
Oh, we
like
trust
for
me.
painterly stuff, I fuck with the wireless. But for other stuff, like I don't mind having a cord connected to like the Cuban and shit,
I get better power
or my
from
coils.
the lightning bolt than I did connected to a my power supply and a cord for
Because
whatever
you're
reason.
using a critical. They're
What
just
actually
they're.
was it?
What were you using?
I was using that iPower. You never heard of it,
Oh,
right? Yeah.
No.
well,
So
maybe,
it's
maybe
the
that's why.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's what I was using, and then I had like the FK irons. Like I was like, maybe it's the cord. So I bought the FK irons freaking cord, like the fucking $30 ridiculous cord, RCA cord to go to my machine, and like now, like I have direct power from that lightning bolt, and it works so much better.
Uh, no, I agree. Like me and Angelo definitely agree on the cordless thing because both me and him have used the cordless battery packs. Um, but that Dan Cuban, man, I'm okay with using wire for it because it's like we talk about it. We've talked about shopping. It's like it's kind of like cheating a little bit, you know.
It's not that good. He's making it all up.
Because these dudes were coming to me, they're like, "How you get them lines?" And I was like, "Shh,
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like,
why don't you
it's
mind your
just
own business?"
like a lot of times, man, using that machine, it's like butter, man. It just goes right
I
in like
love it.
real smooth and nice.
I love the sound.
Nice.
The yakety yakety yak. It's got such a different sound.
And they're very versatile too. They don't just do one thing. You know, you have to really mess with it for a while to like learn the ins and outs of it, which I really haven't yet because I have so many coil machines that like if I need to run smaller needles, I just use a coil machine. But the Dan Cuban, it's got so many different ranges and so many different options. Like it's such a good machine. It really
I'm
is.
such a different tattooer than that. Like I'm like set it on one thing and fucking tattoo everything with it type thing. You know, like and like I get it. Like the coils are more like paintbrushes in a way. Like you want a different brush for every little stroke that you make. I'm like a pencil. Like give me that and I'll fucking make everything work.
Yeah, because I mean, coil
It's
machines are tuned to do specific things. Whether it's a
yeah.
Right.
liner or a
Right.
shader doesn't mean it can push every needle in it. It doesn't mean it's meant to. So
No.
I have liner machines that if I put certain liners in it, you'll just tear through people. And then I have liners that if I put a certain needle in it, it won't show up in the skin at all. So
It's definitely one of those things where it's like it's preference. For a while I was looking for a coil machine that I was looking for just a machine that could actually do with line work or help me with the line work. That Dan Cuban definitely helps me with that line work. Even though I
Sponsored
like
by
use
Cuban Rotary.
yeah, it's a because I use my Zion a lot for pretty much everything. That's what I was using it for.
Yep.
I'm a tattooist that likes using multiple liners. So to line weights. So I like using my thicker line weights, my thinner line weights, depending on what I'm tattooing. And Dan Cuban works so well with using like a lot of thicker line weights and like a lot of sevens. I haven't really used like a 3 on it or anything like that.
I have.
But
It's great.
but oh my
It's fine
god,
for
man,
everything.
it's gorgeous.
Good.
Like
Solid.
it's gorgeous.
it does it all.
It works
Yeah,
if you know
it
what you're
really
doing.
does. It's
Does.
definitely shout out to Dan Cuban for those machines.
Yeah, thank you,
'Cause-
Daniel.
Thank you, Dan.
Yeah.
like because it's wonderful.
But yeah, so this is what it comes down to because I'm like, you guys know me as someone that's like, I'm very much into my equipment. Like, equipment is so big with me. Like,
Oh yeah,
it's
it really
everything.
is.
So like, I have no doubts that like these pens and stuff like that and the wireless, I'm sure it's great. I'm sure you love it. But if you there has been people that have come to me and they're like, this shit is the future. Like, check this out, this pen, and there's no cords. And then I look at their work and I'm like, bro, like why are you so stoked on this? And then you look at my work and it's like the lines are in there, single pass. The color is in there, single pass. Like it is saturated, it's healing bright, it's healing beautiful. Like, and I'm using coils, I'm using rotaries, I'm using a combination of everything. It's all about what works for you. But you also
Yeah.
have to look
Yeah.
into like the minor details of the equipment. And people are just like, okay, get this pen, but it's like, what does this pen do? Or people like, get this coil, but what does that coil do? And then power supply is huge, and I didn't know this until I bought the Musotoku. So like this power supply
420.
is like it produces so much power. Like this thing could run any of my machines like 3 times over. It's got like a 5 amps continuous compared to a critical, which is like 1.5. Like this thing has there's no hiccups, there's no blips, there's no anything. And then you have to pair that with the right clip cord. You need to make sure that the clip cord that you're using has the right amount of tension for your machines. If it's just hanging out of your coils, it's not gonna produce. So like I have a heavy duty clip cord with the most tension I could possibly find, running from a power supply that is just pure power. It's just it's I just and these things are expensive, but I care about how I'm doing my tattoos. And I don't think people can tell you like one way is like wrong, or just because something came later doesn't mean that it's like better. It's actually like,
No.
I've since I started tattooing and since people have seen my work, I've gotten multiple people that I've worked with to downgrade and buy coils and buy like Cubans, like rotaries that take normal tubes and needles. People are going
Right.
back to needle bar. People are going back to
Needle bar
the way
hype,
it
bro.
was because they're seeing my work,
Sold.
and that's a humbling thing as well. They're seeing my work, and they're like, "How is he making that?" Obviously, with my hands, which you can't buy, but you can buy the equipment that I'm putting in my
Technically, you
hands.
can.
But I'm trying. Like you can buy what I'm using and try it, and people are actually liking what they're trying. So like, like I'm not
And
saying I'm not saying I know everything, but like
that's
I know
completely
what
understandable. I mean,
I
I
know what
understand
works.
that the coils, they do what they're meant to do 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And for a long time I was loyal to the coil, and I was only thinking about the production of my tattoos and how that was going to last. But at a certain point I developed trigger finger, and that changed everything for me because ergonomics, I'm sorry, I'd rather tattoo 10 more years. That's
Right.
just how it was.
Right.
And that,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, if it's not light and in my hand and I have trouble controlling it because it's pulling back on my wrist or doing whatever, it's not helping me because
Right.
10 years of tattooing is so much more valuable to me.
Right.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. It's all a matter, like, like I said, I have a Zion. Um, I picked that up last year, and that thing is like super light. It's very nice to use, especially when it comes to like shading and stuff. But I noticed that like my line work, I usually have to go over it, at least one more time. Uh, and then over the past couple months, I'm like, I might want to get back to at least using a coil for my line work. Uh, and Brian, he's very big on, like, he's very technical when it comes to his machines. I can ask him anything, and he usually kind of has an idea of what might be wrong with the coil machine when it comes down to it. So if it was for him, I wouldn't be able to try out like certain coil machines. Because as he was explaining, it all depends on your equipment. It all depends on your power supply. It all depends on your, clip cord. During quarantine, I don't, he had talked to us about him. He was building machines and trying stuff out. Brian's very technical when it comes to like the machine part about it.
Right.
So it was, I'd be talking to him about it. I'm like, I need to kind of figure something out where I can use. I'm thinking about going back to coils at least for lining. When it comes to like rotaries, I think they do a good job. Especially my Zion does a great job blending color. I also have like a halo. That thing I have it set up for like black and gray, and that thing fucking I used that for a couple of years, and I think it was fucking phenomenal when it comes to gray, black and gray. But yeah, it definitely is. It's a matter of preference, it's a matter of how you use your tools, and it's a matter of your hands. I know recently we all talked about how there was a tattoo artist that most of us follow, who pretty much used tattoo machines from like Amazon. You know what I mean? Like he bought a tattoo from Amazon, and he produces phenomenal work.
Yeah, he had the leaks.
Yeah,
He was leaking the info. He was talking
yeah,
about that, like
exactly. And it's not the first time.
the like less than $200 like budget wand tattoo machine.
Yeah,
He's like, yeah, I do all my work with it, and his work is amazing. So like
yeah,
at the end of the day, like tattooing will always be like, I think 50% skill, 50% equipment, and like the equipment is so high in a percentage because it really is so important. It really is, but it needs to like fit in your hand. You know what I'm saying? Like it needs
yep.
to
It
work
needs to be
well.
comfortable.
It needs to work well with you. You know,
Yeah.
so I'm not gonna pick up something that like some like genius is using and like do the same work because I'm not. You know, it may not be for me. And I know plenty of people too that they line with coils or they line with these kind of more hybrid rotaries like Dan Cubans, and then when they go to color, they're using a pen. You know, because the line work only takes them 20 minutes with something, and then the coloring is going to take them 3 hours. So they, again, saving your wrists and saving your hands, and then maybe they just prefer the pen for that because all the results that I saw with people using pens as far as line work, they're not getting those like rich, like saturated, like bold lines with it.
Yeah,
It's more like I've seen them more for like more like finessed or like gestural lines that eventually they're just going to go over with shading anyways, and for black and gray or whatever. But for just like the kind of lines that I do, I need something that's going to like put it in and put it in right the first time. So even if that's like a little bit heavier in my hand, like I'm going to do it just because I want that result, And
Mhm.
I don't think a pen with like a battery pack is going to push, like
It's not. It's not.
it's going to push a
it's not.
14 or like an 11 loose liner, you know, through someone's chest to make like this eagle and I can't line it in 45 minutes. I just can't. Uh,
100%. And the style of tattoos that you're doing, there's no way that any pen, no matter what, is going to have the power to do that. Which interested me about the Numa 4 that I was talking about because I'm seeing people produce traditional work with it and they're saying it's comparable to a coil because of the way the cams are set up or
and
something.
I've never even
But
seen it. So Numa 4,
yeah,
it's a rotary.
yep, rotary pen style.
Huh.
And it's something about like the time in the skin that allows you to do more with it as a pen
Yeah.
machine.
Hmm.
Oh, okay, yeah. Um,
Yeah, this whole thing with like, I think it's definitely dumbed down a little bit, but I know there's still people who prefer coil machines over, rotaries, and rotaries over coil machines. Honestly, it doesn't really matter.
they're just making these
Like
pens now with GIF. That's what it is.
yeah, so like I feel like coil machines definitely I feel like run better as using it for like lining, just because
Yeah.
I feel like coil machines definitely get that line in. Rotaries are definitely good for using for shading, for packing in color, for packing in black and gray, depending on how you set it up. Um, I'm still like looking at adding
Where
to
is it?
my
Oh, pause it.
list of tattoos. Like I said, I'm 5.5 years in. I'm still kind of trying to figure out my niche, and trying out new machines is kind of part of being a tattoo artist. Like, oh, I might be interested in trying this. I might be interested in trying that. There's a machine builder I follow from like Italy, who like builds these really cool looking, really nice looking machines that are, a small size for the weight, but they seem like they pack a good amount of, color. And he's been building machines for years. I actually had like messaged the guy just to ask him how much it would be. His name's Joe. I don't know if you guys follow him, but his name's like Joe J. Armies. I'd
They
recommend him.
making coil
Yeah,
building.
he does both actually, but a lot of his machines are coiled, but there's you can tell like he'll post pictures and he'll show you the size of them, but he by the looks of him like he's been doing it for years because if you look at his Instagram page, it's just machines, and like I'm curious to try one of his machines just to see like what the impact is on those.
Yeah,
Uh,
there's a
I
lot of dudes. There's a lot
you know,
of
there's a lot of
European
dudes out.
dudes that are making like some really cool looking machines, especially
hell
like
yeah.
coil rotary hybrids, like with the cams and like the spring, like kind of like Dan Cuban's stuff, is like super
Yeah.
popular right now. There's a lot of guys
Yeah.
building their own rotaries that you use with like a traditional like tube and needle bar. Um, that they're just like pushing these like ridiculous like 18 round shader like single pass lines with, and they look like absolutely insane. And they're just
Especially
sold
in
out every
Europe.
time you. They're just sold out every time you try to buy one. There's one
Yeah.
called the Anvil that I've been trying to get my hands on, and I just can't. You know, it's just like every time you post it, they're gone. So
Word.
that's why I was lucky
Uh,
enough that like Workhorse made those Dan Cubans so that you can just buy them whenever you want. You know.
yeah. I'll send you guys a link to
Some
Joe's
squatch.
Instagram. And dude, a lot of his tattoo machines are like looking real nice, and I'm very curious to want to try them. But I'll
They're
just
short coils.
yeah. So like I asked him like, what's your price range on your tattoos, and he's like,
Oh,
they start at like a fairly decent price, and then they go up.
they're so tiny. What the?
Yeah.
They're so small. Oh my god, they're like a little baby. He's
Yeah,
holding it
what
like
the
this. He's
fuck?
like, check
Yeah,
this
they
Yeah.
out.
like
Yeah, oh, shit.
I feel like they definitely would pack
Like,
a punch, you know what I mean?
I can't,
Like
it's probably gonna glare.
Be a good little zipper. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now.
yeah, like they look so cool. They're small, but I feel like they definitely would show off like, an aspect. I used to have a
It's not
smaller
about the
machine.
size; it's about the performance.
It's how
But
you use it. Yeah, exactly.
like if you scroll through his Instagram, it's just nothing but machines. So like that, it's not like he just started building machines and he's like, oh here, And I'm pretty sure like, so I'm just curious. I wanted to try something like that from him.
The guy that me and Megan buy machines from, Chris Gov, he makes some really nice machines, and um, they're like all of them are $200. Like
Yeah,
it's insane. And I've been using them since I started tattooing. I've been using a couple of his since I started tattooing, and I gave one to Megan back in the day that she uses every day. So he makes really good machines, and but yeah, I mean that's the thing with coils too is like you could like someone that uses rotaries, you can give them your coil to try out and they might not like it and then they're going to write off coils forever, but it's like a coil machine is so personalized. Like
yeah,
like most of my coils are literally one of like custom coil machines. Like they're not assembly line like mass manufactured tattoo machines. It's some guy made it for me for what
yeah.
I
Mhm.
asked him to make it for. So like just because
It,
it's not for you doesn't mean like there isn't a coil machine like that you would plug in right after and be like, "Whoa, this is it. Like this is the gas. Like this is what I want." You know?
yeah,
So because I mean, but that's the difference. Like, okay, so the pen machine can kind of do everything, push what you need it to. You just kind of like twist it and do whatever with it. But I have a drawer of 20 machines, you know? I have a drawer of 20 machines because they all do something like a little bit different, you
Yeah.
know?
Oh yeah.
Like
oh yeah,
to the point where I bought certain machines for certain like skin types, like machines that even push the same liners, but one just like I use for like softer skin and or parts of the body, and one for like other parts of the body. Like it's really like meticulous. I'm very
Yeah. Yeah. And
weird about things.
you're super into your machines in that aspect as far as you've developed a lot of experience tattooing with those machines. But for me, I would buy, or the average tattooer, they buy 3 or 4 coil machines, right? To,
Right.
as far as, a liner, shader, and then
Yeah,
color
exposures.
packer
Yeah.
or whatever. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And at that point, the coil machines don't act the same day to day.
Right.
They don't.
They're
know
no,
what I
they're
mean?
they're
So,
they're inconsistent. Yeah.
and
Uh,
that's where you find I found fault, and I would be like, fuck, my machine's just not doing it today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just be like, it would just throw your whole mood off. You're like, it's what the
But
fuck? And then the next day, best machine ever. You're like, what the
that's
fuck?
that's how it was for me when I first started, but I didn't want to switch over. I wanted to learn why was this becoming inconsistent. And then if you actually like you know dedicate more and more time to having those crappy days with your machines and learning what's going on, that's how I ended up, almost 4 years later. That's how I ended up with now what I think is the best power supply on the market, the best clip cord on the market, and the best tattoo machines on the market. That's how I ended up with those. That's why I have a drawer of 20 of them. And that's not even all that I've ever owned. I've given away 4 or 5 machines. I've sold 4 or 5 different machines. I've had over 30 tattoo machines because I wanted to find out what for me was the best and what was the most consistent. So I realized, there's so many moving parts to a coil machine. You need to learn how it works to know why it's becoming inconsistent. So people don't know that, you know, carbon buildup on the contact screw can affect everything. They don't know about the sandpaper. They don't know about, just slight turns of a contact screw after using the coil machine for a few months, day to day. So it's like,
Mhm.
um, there's a lot of different little things that you have to keep up with. It's not just one of those things where you can just plug it in and it just goes and it's consistent and it's the same way. Because the first rotor I bought was a Neotat, just one of the little simple little Neotat. You use needle bar and tube, and uh, it just runs the same way no matter what. There was no difference. It was just, this is what I do, and here you go. So it didn't matter what power supply I used or what clip cord or whatever. It just did its thing. So that intrigued me about the coil machines though, because there are people doing great work with them, and mine was inconsistent. I didn't know why. One day I would push like the nicest lines, and the next day I was like, I'm fighting with it. I'm pulling the cord. I'm wrapping the clip cord around my grip, and I'm trying to like, you're always just messing with things. It really took a long time for me to learn like how to like what's the word, like handle my machines, like to tell them what to do instead of them kind of taking me for the ride. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So
As somebody who's worked with you for a good while now, like I've definitely piggybacked onto the opportunity of knowing that you are the type of person to invest into your equipment and go through those trials and errors where like I don't necessarily have the same ability where my finances are going in like a different direction. It's nice to have you where you're like still directed most of your efforts, even, your finances towards tattooing after, making ends meet and whatnot. So
yeah.
it's been nice to like sit there and watch what you're doing and the differences in the production there and then analyze, if I want to give this a shot. And obviously it's nice also that you're open to actually letting me use your stuff and making suggestions. So like
Oh yeah, I don't care. People that work
definitely appreciate it.
can use whatever I have. Like I can't use 20 tattoo machines at the same time.
Yes,
Uh,
you can.
I, I could try, but the most usually I have set up for a tattoo is 4. Um, so um, yeah, I really don't mind, letting anybody try anything that I have, and I have been very fortunate to be able to invest into tattooing in the early stages of my career, because it's going to give me the opportunity to um, really learn my equipment and learn what works, and it's going to help me progress faster. That's plain and simple. um, where people don't buy machines every month. I tattoo to buy tattoo stuff. It's twisted. Like
Yep,
I've tried
true.
every ink company there is. I've bought in this person's ink set, that person's ink set. I've tried every black probably they make. I've tried all different brands of needles. I've tried Lucky Supply needles. I've tried Pulse, Needle Jig, Tommy's, Smith Street Tattoo Parlor needles, fanned needles. Like I've tried every little
That
thing
was cool.
because of my obsession with tattooing. So it's like I've tried everything. I've literally tried everything, and I I don't know. It's cool. Tattooing is super cool.
You need one of those tattoo machine, like like they send the box of like clothes every month. You try the ones
Yeah,
and you
I
keep
would do it.
those.
Oh, the
You
tat
you
box?
need one of those, yeah.
That's a Shark Tank idea, baby.
I would
Get it
I would
done.
do it. There's a guy, there's a builder, I forgot which one. I'm following him. He does mystery boxes. So
That's cool.
Oh,
he'll build a certain amount of machines per month, and whatever doesn't sell right away, he puts in like little bags and he reduces the price, but you don't know what you're gonna get. You could get a color
Brilliant.
packer, you can get a liner, or you could get one of his little handmade rotaries. Like you don't know what you're gonna get,
That's
but you're
that's
paying
tough.
less. I would do it too. I would do it because at this point I have a tattoo machine that could do anything. So
Yeah.
I don't need something specific at this point. I got everything. I got
Yeah. Get that
That
random ad that you don't see coming that changes the game for you.
yeah.
maybe start a club of tattoo, like you have a couple that you just
Like
recycle
one
around or whatever.
cycle. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
cool idea as well. Fuck
I
yeah.
want to start. I want to start like a zine or something like machine aficionado, something like
Oh,
fancy, and just have like interview different builders and like have like they could do like little advertisements in it and stuff like that. I think that'd be super cool. Um, just like I don't know, just something fun just to look at. And I
Now,
also
have you been to one of those like machine builder like workshops at like conventions or anything like that?
I haven't. I know Jay Kelly here in Connecticut wants to do one for us.
Hmm.
It's just been super crazy with the virus and everything that he,
Yeah, obviously,
um,
yeah.
but
yeah, it was about to go down.
he's
yeah,
going
I'm definitely down to do that.
he's gonna do it. And I think that would be a really good opportunity. Because he might just do it like private for our shop, and then anybody else who is like interested, you pay a certain amount, you get what you need to build a machine, and then. But I've spent personal time with him, over quarantine. I was at Pulse a lot. Watching him wrap
Build
coils
machines and stuff.
and solder coils, and I bought everything that I needed to make coils, and I you know breathed in so much fumes, like it was crazy, like just trying to solder things onto
You got the
coils. And
COVID.
so it's cool because one of some of my machines, they have actual coils that I put together myself. And um and just learning bits and pieces from him. And then I'm also a member of Seth Safari's online
Nice.
his machine workshop. So he has Q&As that come out like weekly or monthly or whatever that I can tune into, uh, which is cool.
Nice, nice. Anyone try anything new or have any equipment that isn't a machine or power supply that has made their lives a little bit easier?
Absolutely.
Dan Cuban.
That's a machine.
Honestly,
Isn't a
that's
machine
the
or a
newest
power
thing. That's the
supply.
newest thing that we've all tried recently, and
It's
it's
not a
worked out in
machine.
our favor.
It's a lifestyle.
I'd say for me, Dip Cap. If you haven't tried it,
Good.
awesome,
It works.
awesome. For
I've
like,
been wanting to
Those
try
are
it.
those are like those rinse cups that come
yeah,
with the stuff in
the
it.
little sponge thingy. Just
It's
as
for
far as
cleaning the needles, right?
for cleaning the needles. Yeah. So when I'm doing, I only use it for color, but when I'm doing color and it cleans it super fast, super easy, and I don't have to worry about paper towel bits in my needles at all.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I mean, on mags, do you ever you shouldn't end up with that much paper towel buildup on a mag, but
I
obviously
just
like
don't
a
want to
round
worry about
shader
it.
or a liner, it's a
I've been
different game.
using a lot more round shaders too.
Yeah, round shaders are the shit.
Yeah, if I mean if it's
think
not
that's
machine or power supply related, it's got to be it's needles. Needles are more important than I realized. Um, you would just get a brand and it would say what grouping it is, but like there is so much more to needles than a lot of
Oh
people
yeah.
and people
Oh
aren't
yeah.
getting taught and people don't know. Not just the amount of needles in a grouping, but like the size of the needles and the taper of needles and stuff like that. Like I was having saturation issues, and then I tried a medium taper mag versus like a standard is like a long taper mag, and just going from a long taper mag to a medium taper, it just packs it in so much quicker and so much more efficiently. Um, it's like
Is
it's
it
amazing.
because like you think that the ink has less to travel across the needle, maybe, or
Yeah, it's something. It's with the shorter taper needles, I feel like it hits the skin a little bit quicker, which is weird. So like if you're usually like when I'm whip shading, you have like a couple passes where you can kind of build it up. But with the medium taper, I've realized like you got to get it right the first time because it's just putting that black in. So you got to have you've got to be warmed up because it just saturates the crap out of it. And I've also tried like textured needles and stuff like that when you're dealing with like powdered pigments because I use a lot of chroma powder pigment, um, and that stuff is super bright and super solid, and it heals amazing. Um, but it does require a little bit a different approach to tattooing. So textured mags or the medium taper is usually what I use for that, and I push a lot of those with a coil machine, and then there's other needles I put in rotaries. So it's all depends on what I'm doing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, um, I tried out. What did I try out? The Tat Soul. What are their needles
Envy.
called? Envy. Yeah. So I used one of those
Those are some of my favorites.
As far as cartridges, and oh my god, like it was insane.
Yeah.
They got bomb
Like
cards.
good or
too.
bad?
But hey, listen, I've been using like it's like going from I don't know a beat down Ford to a Cadillac at that point because I've been using Tommy's cartridges for however long, and it just because they're
Not
so
their best product.
economically, as far
Yeah.
as far as economics though, I mean I'm saving a lot of money, but at the same time,
Oof.
I'm not spending $25 for 10 cartridges. I'm just not. I don't know how
Yeah.
I can justify that. Obviously, charge the customer, blah blah blah. But I'm like, it still has to come out of the front end. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean we're pretty lucky, at our shop, that
Yeah.
we get a lot of things provided for us that most shops don't. I mean, I know when Mike started, we were in the back. He's like, open a cabinet. He's like he buys needles and tubes, and I was like, yeah, and not just like, not just like Tommy's like 7-liners. We're talking like, you know, what
Yeah.
what we want,
It
like what we ask for, which is cool. Because it matters, it really does. Like
does.
a lot of people just don't get it, and it's when you're paying $30 for a box of needles compared to 15, like there's reasons for that. And I don't know too many people that eye loop their needles anymore, because a lot of people are using cartridge, and I don't know if people really eye loop cartridges.
I mean, you should still eye loop your cartridges.
Yeah. But I've been getting back into eye looping because I kind of let that fall behind. Because I remember I was throwing out at least 5 needles a box of 50.
Wow.
Because of barb needles. Because when you have mass produced needles, there's going to be something wrong with one of them, And so I'm throwing out about 5 or 6 needles per box. But I've noticed that less with the Envy, the needles that you're paying more for because they do more quality checks. It's not just the quality of the needle; they're actually checking to see if the needles they're putting in the box are good to go.
Yeah, yeah. Envy is by far like the best needle I've used.
For
And the
cards,
amount,
you're saying
the
for
amount
cartridges or bars?
Cartridges, the
Okay.
MV2s.
Interesting.
So I want to try their cards
Does that have
big
the
time because
blue?
I'm looking for a new card
Yeah,
now. Do they?
the tealy blue at the tip, like
Yeah.
fit and comfort and sharpness of needle and packing it in and making it soft, all of the above. It's the fucking needle is awesome.
And what is the internal mechanism? Does it have a spring
membrane,
or
I
a
believe.
membrane? Fuck. Yeah, see, I don't know. I loved Helios back in the day. Hard, like big time fan, and I'm not anywhere near associated with them as far as like compensation for this, but I love their stuff, and I was all about changing to the membrane because I was like, oh, it's cleaner, whatever. But then it's not the same. The membranes
The
don't
red
perform
pack.
as good. Honestly, the membranes aren't bad for mags. Like I don't mind it. I definitely had to adjust my settings on my machine to like compensate for the difference. But I think the membrane can be all right for like black and gray and shading. Saturation, like full saturation stuff, little bit different in my opinion. I still fuck with it, but I definitely preferred like it actually like I didn't mind the lines from the ones with the springs, and I'm looking for something good that's spring based, or if they have something with a spring and a membrane, because I don't think you get like a hard enough hit. So that's why I've transitioned to needle bar, and I've been a big believer lately in needle bar. And then you get to have like I feel like the needles being made for them are just better and have been more perfected.
Yeah.
The other day, Angela bought some NB needles on a bar, and I actually had a chance to try. I've tried them throughout the week, and I've liked them, but I definitely liked it yesterday because I got to use it on that tattoo I had mentioned earlier, which was the hourglass, and I got to use like an 11 traditional, and that thing fucking, I was really happy with how that went in because it went in definitely like real smooth, real nice. I didn't have to worry about anything. Um, it was definitely like it was. I was pretty stoked about it. I was pretty happy with it. So it really does depend on. Um, Honestly, it really depends on your equipment. It depends on your needles as tattoo artist. It depends on your machine. Obviously, it also depends on you as an artist.
Yeah.
But those tools definitely help.
Yeah.
But that envy needle, I was definitely happy with.
With MV2 is they have a lot more options as far as groupings.
Groupings, yeah.
They have a
A
lot.
lot of the people at my shop are right now using even numbers, and I'm like, they're like an 8. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
I have
what?
8s. I have 6s. I have 8s.
Yeah,
For liners, you're saying, not for mags.
yeah, everything.
Even mags?
Pretty sure.
I don't know how that works. I mean, but as far as liners, like I've used 6s and 8s, and they're pretty good. But
So consensus, envy is good.
yeah, but they also have different lines too. So there's like they have envy, but then there's like the envy traditional, which are the traditional liners are a looser grouping. Obviously, they're just kind of like in the middle between round shaders. They're just a loose grouping. And then the traditional mags in their traditional line, it's like the tan box. They got like the eagle on it or whatever. The mags are, I'm pretty sure, both a medium taper and textured.
Wow.
You can actually see it on that because like the whips that they make are just like unreal. Like they're super crazy looking. And then I've also tried one box of the Enzos. So the Enzo is their NV line, but they're a little bit more expensive, and they're made from like a different type of like Japanese steel. So I bought some like 7 loose liners, Enzos, and I would buy them all the time if I could like justify it. Like they're just like unreal. Like it feels, you can feel the difference. Like it's so sharp. And like I can't justify it. Like I can buy them again, but it's like, you know, doing a Tatzel order for $30, like sometimes it doesn't make any sense. So the only issue with that is like I never have enough to like buy to order to like justify making an order from Tatzel, because then I end up just buying junk I don't need. So I gotta be kind of careful with that, because like if I buy one box of needles, they say like, oh, it's $100 for free shipping, so I end up with like I end up with like 4 T-shirts and a DVD, and it's like I didn't need
I don't even
any.
own a DVD player.
I was like I don't even need any of this. Like, so
I was thinking about that the other day because with The Apprentice, I was like, oh, I have this Jeff Gogway DVD. I was like, we don't have a DVD player here. Like, like I don't know how this is gonna work.
DVD players you can get for like $5 now.
I know, at like Savers.
Yeah, exactly. But I have the one of the best DVDs is the Ironclad, the Russ Abbott one. I actually got that from Johnny B, and I just never gave it back.
He's in the chat.
Yeah, I still have it.
What up, Johnny?
I still have it, and I watch it all the time. So like he'll probably
seen
never
it
get
once,
it
and
back.
I want to rewatch it again.
It's like mesmerizing. I love watching that video. But that's a great DVD.
There's a couple questions on here on the
If he
Twitch
wants it back.
by Johnny. First question is, how do you like chroma? Do you have to shake the fuck out of it?
No. Well, you should shake all your ink. That's just, I mean, yeah, I mean it's chroma is like one of the first powder pigments I've used that's not as thick, like thicker than normal pigments. It actually feels like this general consistency of like Eternal and stuff like that. It's not water like Starbright, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. And I don't use every single color of theirs. Like I use like a few color. I use their brown. Like it's the only company's brown I can use now in my tattoos. And they make some really cool colors like persimmon. I really like the persimmon.
That's a dope one.
Kind of red orange. Martini olive green is really cool.
Another real nice one.
And
What about
I
that?
don't know. I like a lot of them. Turquoise, raspberry red. There's a lot of cool ones. They make a lot of like interesting colors, but I've noticed that like a lot of my tattoos have this very similar palette, and a lot of it is just Eternal. Like it's going back to Eternal. A lot of Mike Chambers colors, unfortunately.
They've been
just 'cause,
so
like,
good for me.
the Mike
Mike
Chambers,
Chambers
They're
colors.
great
they're
consistency.
they're so crazy good, and I'm like that bastard. Like
That dude, that yellow is just stupid good. It's,
Yellowstone or the other one?
Oh, the Yellowstone.
Yeah,
I haven't used
Yellowstone's
that one
amazing.
yet.
Yellowstone's good.
You haven't used Yellowstone? I bought like 3 bottles of it. Like
Yeah,
I
you wanna
use-
make sure
I
you
use-
I've used that Red Cross. I've used the Red Cross because
also good.
That's like my
because
exclusive
Brian
red.
showed me it, and I've seen it. I've seen Angelo use it, and I've seen Megan use it. And I'm like, I gotta try it. And it's probably become my new favorite red to use now.
I used to use
bought-
lipstick red.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
sorry, but that
it's
that
like
Mike
basically
Chambers
pink.
red way better.
Red
Yeah.
Cross beats lipstick
See,
red.
no,
easy.
that's all I.
Yeah.
That's what I used all the time. I have like 2-ounce bottles of like multiple different reds.
Yeah.
And so Red Cross is probably my newest one I've tried, and I like really love using it so far.
True Gold is like one of my favorite colors of all time. We talked about
It's
that.
good. It's great.
Yeah.
True Gold. And Green River.
Oh yeah.
Is really good. I asked Mike Chambers himself for a bottle of Green River one time, and he told me to go. He told me to go on Eternal.com. But we were at his shop. Me and Rick were at his shop, both getting tattooed, and I was like, Mike, how do I get some of that Green River? And he's like, you can go on Eternal.com. I was like, bullshit. I know you have like 50 bottles of it here. Like it's got your name on it. I know you have some. Like I'll take half of like an empty bottle or something like that.
It's got those
we-
gallons in the back.
We got in the car. And Rick's like, "Did you really just ask Mike Chambers for some of his ink?" And I was like, yeah. I was like, I don't care. What was he gonna do? Like, I don't know. He just sent me to the internet. He just told me to go online and buy it. I was like, oh, cool. Yeah, like I didn't already figure that out.
One of
I
my
want that signed bottle.
Yeah.
one of my signature colors I like to use a lot, and Angelo can attest to this, is Snowflake from Eternal.
I hate Snowflake.
Yes.
Dude,
Dennis doesn't even like you anymore.
Yeah, I know, you're done.
Hate
We're all done.
Snowflake.
All right, take him out.
But
Take him out.
off white, much
Oh, I
better.
love
No,
all
no, no.
white. I love
Off
all-
white.
Is
Off
Snowflake,
white.
I love both of those
Snowflake-
colors.
is
Snowflake,
Snowflake like a color that is like it's like white, but it has that weird
It's
blue
white
tint?
blue.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it's meant to be used
Much
as,
like the
as
humans
a
it
blender.
describes.
Meant to be kept on the shelf.
It's
I
y'all
have
can go.
so
Y'all can go fuck yourselves.
I bought whatever set it comes in, and like that, I've used every other color, and that one is like mostly full. I'm
It's
like,
a good.
Well, all right. Let me ask you this though.
because I pour it out and I never use it.
Yeah, but
It's a good
it's
mixing
not
color.
meant.
Yeah, real good.
It's not meant to be used as a solid color. It's meant to be used. It gives it a rich, lighter color to to whatever it is you're using. So essentially, let's say if you're using like a red and you're trying to lighten it up to whatever. Let's say you're using a red rose and you're trying to kind of lighten up the red, like the edges of a red. Instead of using white, use a snowflake to actually to blend it a little better than the white itself.
So use it as a mixing white.
Yes.
Yeah.
Instead of using white, you use the snowflake to actually mix it and blend it better.
But of course,
So
the snowflake's gonna dull it out a bit too. You know, coming from the other end of the
kind of.
spectrum, and just like how paint would happen. But
Yeah,
it's
so
a good
like
effect
it's not
for
like it's
some
gonna be extremely
application.
white, but the snowflake will definitely um help to blend it better.
To like mute it
And
down
then
a
you
little
can use
bit.
your white as a highlight if you need to, but you won't need to actually use that white. So
That's why I've
instead of
been
it
using
actually,
off-white though. Off-white
Off
is
white's a beautiful
I
thing.
use I use off-white to blend, and then when I want that sharp white, using that little bit of star bright white, bam, little salt.
Off
I
white's
mean, man,
basically like the warm version of snowflake, honestly. And
It's like
then
one of those
like
yeah.
conversations that I can't like say
No,
anything.
because you don't use white.
what's your
You
favorite
you
tone?
used white. I remember when he put white right there. He's probably like, "Fuck this!" Like,
I'm telling you, try using the snowflake again, but use
He's
it as a
selling it
blend.
hard.
as a mixing color.
Yes.
Okay.
Try
I
that
have
and see how
plenty.
you feel about it.
I got plenty snowflakes, so I can definitely do
Then
that.
definitely try it because I
Oh,
feel like
she's in the bedroom, bud.
it'll definitely work. It's the same thing for me, like
She's in
using
our bedroom. Go ahead.
using a plum, which is the total opposite of snowflake. But using a plum to transfer from like a black to like a purple or like a blue or a red or like a really dark red, like a deep red. Plum is definitely a good transition from black to whatever color you're going to use to transition from that black itself.
Mm-hmm.
I learned some of this stuff from a shop I used to work at prior, and it definitely like certain. It doesn't seem like it would work, but it does. You know what I mean? Like, so snowflake works for lighting up certain colors a little bit, where plum definitely works for doing transition if you're using it for something a little darker. So if you're transferring from black to fucking a lighter blue and you need something to transfer it, so you use like black, plum, and like galaxy blue from Eternal, and then you go from there. Uh, so like that Halo set from Eternal, I feel like that Halo set is meant to be used as a blend. It's not
It
meant to
looks
be
like
used
it's
as
meant to
solid.
paint Easter eggs with.
I know it is.
I'm
Like it
like,
definitely feels that way.
Perfect for your
It's
Easter flash sheets.
Yeah.
but it's
Love it.
all lighter tones. So I feel like I've never actually used any of the. I think I've probably used like one of the colors from that set, but I feel like it's because it's all lighter tones. It's meant to use to lighten up certain colors and blend certain colors. It's not meant as a solid tone. Um, a lot of those lighter colors, such as like honeydew from Eternal, and you
Honeydew
know,
is rough.
yeah.
That's like
So
one of
it's
the
like
only
it's not
colors I
meant to be like a
still.
solid thing.
Yeah.
I think those colors are meant to be blended into darker tones of that color, or like if you're going warms, you're going to use warmer light colors. If you're going to go cools, you're going to use cooler, lighter colors to blend that in.
One of my new favorite colors that I'm gonna be putting into like my like everyday palette um, is coral green from Eternal. It is super cool. It is like
No.
really really cool. I used it a couple times and then I saw who used it. Tony Trustworthy on Instagram. He does like a lot of traditional stuff. He had a shark with like some Japanese waves, and he used the coral green in the finger waves.
mm.
I messaged him. I was like, "What color is that?" And he was like, "Coral green from Eternal." And I was like, "I have that, and I use it." And I was like, "I don't know why I never thought of that." It was like it's absolutely beautiful. Like it was like the coolest thing I've ever seen anybody do. I was like,
Nice.
"I'm gonna bite you so hard," but like I appreciate you answering me. Like I was like, I will take this and I will use it. But you know, some people are cool. If another tattooer asks you a fucking question, just answer it. Like
Yeah, I've never not answered a tattooer for sure.
you know how many
Yeah.
people like this dude from Italy, I think, messaged me the other day and was talking to me about the Dan Cuban, the Sidewinder. I talked to him for like a half hour. Like, I don't know. I'm not gonna. What do you want me to?
Nice.
What am I gonna
Nice.
say? Like, because
Mm.
you know how many times, as a newer tattooer, I was like, hey, like, I really like your work. Just curious, like, what are the groupings that you are using? And I got all these responses that I was like, why don't you ask your mentor or like, oh, can't tell you that, or little like emojis with like the face, and it's like, okay,
Are we still at that stage in this industry where people have to keep their mouth shut?
yeah, it's
Like I thought, like at this point, it's it's become more common to kind of talk about like certain things with each other and kind of like giving each other advice. I've always seen that as a plus. If somebody asks me something, I'm like, well, this is what I did and this is what worked for me.
yeah.
You know,
I don't
uh,
know. It's like, dude, I live across the country. Like, you're not gonna tell me what fucking needle you used. Like, I am in no way, shape, or form. I've been tattooing like 6 months. Like, I'm curious. Like you got like 40,000 Instagram followers, and it's like, and chances are the dude was just using like a freaking 14 round shader, like all those other
yeah.
guys. It's like, I didn't know. I didn't know how to make a line that looked like a fucking Sharpie. I didn't know. I didn't know. So
Yeah,
whatever.
no, for sure. And I feel like, I mean, the world has definitely changed as in the form of information that's out there in tattooing too. The people assume like you can just go Google it and all this stuff, but like if you're asking a specific question about something,
Yeah.
I don't see why you shouldn't be answered.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't see why there's such like, I understand that people don't want, reproductions of their work, and they don't want other people out there like kind of catching on to like what they're doing to make their tattoos have that look. Because now that I'm getting to the point where I'm using a specific palette, I'm using very specific colors, I'm not changing up my palette a lot. I'm using very specific needles, tapers. I'm using very specific things every day because I know it
Mm.
works now. You know, of course, I don't want everybody around me to like catch on to that and be like, well, if he's doing this, like maybe I should use all those colors for my traditional palette. Maybe I should use smoke in every tattoo. Maybe I should get some of whatever he's using, like, of course. But like, this dude lives like in a completely different state, has all these follow, this dude doesn't care if he tells me that green was coral green, like, he didn't care. So like, I think it's how it has to be. So if someone messaged me that lives in a completely different state and is like, hey, that color like that you use in all your tattoos, what is that? Bro, it's smoke. Bro, it's true gold. Just buy yourself a bottle, do yourself a favor, make sure it's a 4 ounce, enjoy it, like, have fun. But
God damn, that's a lot of just a lot of ink.
Yeah.
it is like, it's like,
I think a lot of like whatever your colors and all that stuff you're using, it all refers back to if whatever traditional medium you're used to using as well. You know what
yeah,
I mean? Um, as far as I know, you paint a lot of flash using ink or the Waverleys or type ink or whatever,
yeah,
and
acrylic
a
inks
lot.
or watercolor inks. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. So all that stuff ties back, and then like even looking at the people around me when I'm setting up a palette, I'm used to using acrylics or spray paint or whatever. So I like to see my colors instead of mixing them necessarily. So I have
Mhm.
so much ink, like so much ink, whereas other people, like even in the shop where when they're doing a color portrait and they're used to using oils, their palette is very limited and they know what's going to happen with that. And I do
Yeah.
mix a lot of tones, but
Uh-huh.
more in the sense to make things cooler or warmer, not
Right.
necessarily taking a blue, a magenta, and a yellow to create some flesh tone. Like,
There,
not
there's only
happening.
there's only
Like,
been one there's only been one tattooer that I've worked with that actually probably mixed every single color that she used. And that was Emma Dudley.
Yep.
Insanely talented artist, insanely good tattooer. Uh, she just mixed everything. She made everything. I think this is the person that told me this. Like, she was taught to only have a certain amount of inks, um, and then to produce your own tones based on what you're doing. So she even
mm,
had like the little electric stir and all that shit.
yeah,
But now
yeah.
it's like, it's like there's a color in a bottle that you can buy for everything. That it makes me think like, what is the consistency of like how it heals and stuff like that. Like, if you
That
Oh,
made
you're
that
for
never
color,
going
sure.
to be able to
if
touch
you
that
if
up.
you if you made that color yourself, like,
Well, I mean, you can just
it's going to be
YOLO it
hard to
and do
it's
it
going to
still,
be
but
kind of hard to remember how exactly you made that tone. But what I'm also wondering is like, if you made that color, you know will it heal better and be nicer than if you use like a standard green and added some white instead of using some crazy named light green. Like
Even
Yeah,
still,
which one's
you
it
can
gonna
buy this.
depends the approach and the colors
which one's
for
gonna
sure.
work better?
You
Like
can
that's
buy
what
the exact same ink in the same color, and they're still different. Comparatively.
Yeah, yeah,
You know
batches.
what I mean? So you're never gonna get the same tone,
Well, if you
no
didn't,
matter what
if you didn't,
I mix this ratio or whatever. Like it's not gonna
right?
happen.
Well, if you didn't care, like if you could, if your tattoo would suffice if it was like if it was like a hair off on either end, which one would heal better, the pre-bottled or the one that you mix with a green that works plus some white, or a light green that just looks good in the bottle for the tattoo that you're doing? Like what should you do? Like what should you do? What's
Honestly,
more correct? Like
Yeah, I don't
I
think
don't
that.
think it matters correctly because it all depends. It like I always take chances when it comes to coloring. So like if I need something light, I usually what I do is I'll do a dark tone, a middle tone, and a light tone. And I'll do an extra light tone, which is usually it's usually my snowflake or my white. And then I go from there. Um, and then I just kind of figure it out. Hot time, I kind of wing it.
I mean that's what I do
You
too.
know what I
Like
mean? Like if
I
I'm
don't
tattooing, I'm like,
Everyone
all right,
wings
I
it.
gotta wing my colors
I
and figure it
clearly
out.
I don't blend obviously colors as much as other people do. And when
Yeah.
I do blend colors, it's not dark green into a medium green into a light green. It's dark green into ochre into purple. Like that's how I do a leaf. Like I do, what I'm saying? Like I'm blending into neo-traditional. So like you're taking
Yeah.
different colors and you're whip shading them from opposite ends into each other. That's how I'm blending colors. So like I don't typically use like this is my darkest red, and then I use a little bit of this red, and then this red, and then I finish it off with a little cherry on top kiss of pink. Like it's
Uh-oh.
this is my red, and then I use you know fucking baby blue. Like I don't know. Like it's just I don't know. But I don't know like what would be the correct um, approach to, like, if you're using those obscure colors, do you just buy them or do you try to make them as much as you can? You know?
Oh, um, that like going back to that Russ Abbott DVD, and like I have the his color theory um video where he talks about how he uses his like color wheel and all that stuff. And watching that DVD, it's interesting because he talks about how like if you use complementary colors to mix together, it creates a different tone and it creates more of a what's the word I'm looking for?
Muted,
Uh, huh?
muted.
Yes, thank you. A more muted tone, and like I always look at that and I'm like, that can't work correctly. That there's no way that works. And I've tried it a couple of
Absolutely does.
times, and yeah, I've tried it a couple of times because when I first started, I watched the video. Like that's weird on how that works, but it blends and it works. So realistically, it's all a matter of you as the artist trying things out and seeing if they work. If they don't work, then they don't work. If they do, then you're like, holy shit, that worked. Like there are times where I've tried like Dirty Money from Eternal, and I've used like Aquamarine from Eternal, and it blends in such a really nice tone that I'm like, holy shit, I love this. This works. I used that. I believe, if I remember correctly, I used that on a piece on a buddy of mine like over a year ago, and I've seen his piece since then, and it still looks just as good as it did when I tattooed it. And that's going from using Dirty Money. Sometimes, I don't know if you guys ever forget, but sometimes I forget like certain colors that I've used before, and I'm like, oh my god, I remember how much I love this color.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There's been tons of times where I've used a color and I forget about it, and I go back to that color and I'm like, holy shit, dude, I forgot how much I enjoy using this color, and I start using it again for a little while.
Or what I've realized is there was colors in the past obviously as a newer tattooer that I tried to use and couldn't use correctly, and
Yeah.
then went back to it recently and could actually saturate the color correctly and use it correctly. And I'm like, wow, this is actually a great color. When before I was like, this color's trash. Like I can't even get it in the skin. It wasn't the color. It was just my ability. Like I couldn't put it in the skin because I didn't know the difference between a super light seafoam green and putting in fucking red. I didn't know the difference. I just used the machine the same way, this needle the same way, and tried to put them in the same way. So, uh,
To get back to the like semi-original question, I think like pre-mixing the inks, like the way that Emma does it, when you get good at that, it's a whole different game. Just like when you learn coil machines, I think like where you're experimenting, and then you hit that level of knowledge that you can apply, and when you hit that application, like I have a tattoo from her that is spot on. Like she nailed every single color mixing it, and it's a pretty technical tattoo as far as like the color is concerned,
mm,
and it's not and it's healed great. It's still holding up just as good as it did day one, honestly, or not day one, but once it was healed, and it's a few years old or a couple years old at this point. Um, the I'm confident that she could mix like the same tones again if it needed to be there, just because that's how good she is at mixing those tones. So she could
I,
just take a look and
I
get
don't
it
think
done.
I don't think I would mix colors anyways, just because like I mean time most likely, and I don't know. Like again, I don't need multiple shades of one color. I
Yeah,
just need its primary color. I just need green. If I need green, I need green, and I'm gonna choose which green, and that'll be it. But also, I feel like that's like a, something I've always been like envious of, like people that like went to like art school, like the art school tattooers compared to
yep.
like the, you know,
Ones that worked at it.
I came from like working at the mall. I went from working at the mall to straight to tattooing, so like I didn't really know how to draw correctly. I didn't know anything about like tattoo design, and I didn't study art. And the only art I really did in school, even though I got like class artist, as my superlative senior year, and I won like a couple awards for like some ink stuff I did, um, I drew like anime and game characters. Like I drew sketches like for fun, like just goofy shit, and then I became a tattoo artist. So like I learned anything I know about art now or think I know, I learned from attempting to put it in people's skin. So I didn't have like a art background, like like any studies or any education before I tattooed. So um, it'd be interesting to know like what you guys' opinion on that is as well. Like how it, what kind of
I'd say
tattooers are, which, like what you
that
think.
probably influenced your style as well. You know what I mean? Because you're so keen on what's going to look good on the skin that when you're putting it on paper, that's something that transitions to something that would go on the skin no matter what. You're not making, fine art that is meant just to hang on a wall normally.
Right,
You're making stuff that's purposefully, its main purpose is to go on the skin and last forever.
right.
Which it's funny because it makes me, if you think about it, we've become we've become tattoo artists, uh, art, tattoo art is as a brain perspective. So essentially, like every time we look at an art piece, we look at it as a way of like how do we put it on the skin rather than just it being an art piece sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that happens all the time. Sometimes like I try to kind of get rid of the tattoo artist perspective and just kind of just do an actual painting. But if you ever think about it, a lot of times when you do pieces, even just for fun, doesn't necessarily have to be just for like as the next piece. We have a tendency to think of it as an art piece, tattoo artist piece. Like, oh, all right, how would we do this so that this doesn't blend together, and we don't put too much black in here, or we know that this isn't going to work here when
Even
we
layout.
paint and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
I when I start
Like
drawing or painting something, I'm like, where on the
you think of
body
it
will
as a
this
tattoo
fit?
artist,
You
right?
know? Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah. So it's hard to actually get out of that mindset sometimes and just be an artist because you forget as a tattoo artist, sometimes you forget that you're an artist. You're not just a tattoo artist, but you draw, you paint, you digitally work, you know, whatever medium you work in.
Right. I've tried to stray like from when I started my career. I strayed from like the tattoo artist title. You know, like on my business cards, I would write like tattooer. You know, thinking there's a significant difference between a tattooer and a tattoo artist. A tattooer is someone who like replicates flash and like simply knows how to operate a tattoo machine, but doesn't really deal with like the artistic side of it, and just takes the image and puts it into the skin, almost like that's just what I do. I don't manufacture the design. I don't think of the creative process. I just put it into the skin. So I've always kind of like titled myself as that, but I know actually as a traditional tattooer, there's a lot of traditional dudes out there that don't know how to draw. Um, you know, the guy that taught me how to tattoo didn't know how to draw. Um, and you know, but I actually do, and I know how to, and I don't draw traditional tattoos. I draw a little more elaborate like illustrations, you know, like I'm more of an illustrator. So like when I do get to tattoo that stuff, it's really fun. Um, because I know that I know how to tattoo more than I say I do. I know how to blend colors. I know how to use darks and lights and stuff like that. I know how to have fun when doing tattoos that aren't traditional. But tattooing has become you know, it's become like a secondary medium to a lot of people, you know, where they were artists, they were painters, they went to school, they oil paint in their free time, and then tattooing is how they make money. um, Tattooing is my main medium, so as an artist, tattooing is my favorite medium. So I don't really enjoy acrylic painting or oil painting, or you know, I paint flash, but that's so that I can sell them as tattoos. You know, I'm actually just painting a menu. You know, like I'm developing a menu really for people to get tattooed, because I'd rather tattoo that design, and my tattoos look better than my paintings because I accepted tattooing as my main medium.
That's
So
always a good point. You know,
Yeah.
when you're
Mm-hmm.
even for me, like I'll draw something kind of like but like knowing that once I get this into the skin, it's just a whole nother ball game. You
whole
know what I
different.
mean? Like
Yeah.
I surpass what I can do on pen and paper by far in the skin.
Right.
Yeah.
There's just so many artists that draw and paint, and they're phenomenal. And then when they put stuff in the skin, I'm like, oh yikes! Like you can tell it's like a secondary thing to them, and they're just not that great. Like they're just not great tattooers. They're not great tattoo artists. But then their actual artwork outside of skin is like I can't even fathom, you know, doing something like that, you know. But I at least know that when I do a tattoo and skin, my greatest piece of artwork of all time has to be on somebody's skin somewhere, not on a piece of paper, not on a canvas, not on hanging on a wall, not on a piece of flash. My greatest art, like piece of art I've ever created, has to be in someone's skin. Like there's no way around it. Whereas a lot of tattooers, they're developing these 80 to 100-hour oil paintings that are literally fine art, and there's literally nothing better than these paintings. And then their tattoos are like, okay, yeah, you, okay, cool, you know, whatever. But
I think
mine is on skin somewhere. I don't know who, I
yeah.
don't know what, but I can't create art on any other medium. I can't create art on any other medium than the skin, like better than I can on skin. So
Yeah.
I think
I, go ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. Well, I definitely, you know, feel the same. Like I feel like a primary medium tattoo artist, especially with like since having a family, the time has gone mostly to, you know, developing art. I very rarely get to like make something outside of my clientele and things like that just for leisure based on just how I'm going to use my time and, you know, give it to my kids and my family. But like I definitely still have that level of appreciation. I like that tattooing being like the number one medium and even staying there. And obviously we have different styles. It's there's a very different approach there, but um it happens, you know, on skin. That's where my maximum effort is going down, and that's like where I'm gonna, you know, put my efforts. So like the prep work for that, is whatever needs to get done to give me the information to execute what I have in my mind for the scan.
I feel like in that perspective, it's because once you go to skin, that's it. That's like that. Like there's no like, oh, I can erase this and do it again. This has got to go in once, and I need to make sure it's done correctly. I need to make sure it's done perfectly. I need to make sure it's done on
It adds
point.
pressure. It adds pressure.
It does definitely adds pressure because obviously, nowadays, right now, you can easily like laser things off, but do you really want to take that chance?
Not
Do you
so
want to
easy.
create? Yeah, exactly. Or do you want to make something that's perfect, on point, and then that's it, and then it's going to live on that person forever?
Yeah.
I think that's the mindset that we have as artists, as tattoo artists, compared to like if we do an oil painting or if we do an acrylic painting or if we do a color pencil
You
drawing
can
or whatever.
paint over it, or like me, I crimple everything up.
Exactly.
And
You
just throw
can't
it
do
away.
that with a tattoo artist. With a tattoo, as a tattoo, you can if you do like a cover up, but even doing a cover up can be a pain in the ass. Like I
don't
kind
like
of enjoy doing cover ups.
that.
I know a lot of artists don't, and a lot of artists do. I kind of don't mind doing cover ups because like I'm like I kind of pretty much tell my client like you kind of let me do what I do in order to actually make this thing disappear. But when it comes down to it, when you're doing your design compared to a painting and you're putting something on somebody's skin, it's a one shot deal. Well, that's it. Like once you put it on that person's skin, you need to make sure that thing is like perfect, or at least as perfect as it can
Or
be.
try, yeah.
Yeah, I
Try.
mean, it's got to be your
to make it
best.
I try to.
You
we're
have
not
those
perfect.
ones. Everyone's got them.
Yeah. As tattoo artists, we're not perfect.
But handcrafted.
We make mistakes just like everybody else. We're only human beings, but we try to do our best to make and I think that's the difference between what we do on paper, what we do on a canvas, to what we do on skin, because skin is permanent. And I think that's why we have a tendency to appreciate things more, because we're like, all right, this is my medium as a tattoo artist. This is being a tattooer is a medium for us, and we need to make sure that this is on point, solid, and as good and as best as we can do it. Still though, like people like Guy Aitchison, who I've been to some of his seminars back before I even became a tattoo artist, and he talks about how like
Infamous.
yeah, he's like one that everybody knows who he is, at least as a tattoo artist. Being a painter and being a tattoo artist is hand in hand. Or like Nick Baxter, who is a big influencer as an oil painter. Uh,
I've never
like
seen
tattoo
any
artists
of their work.
huh?
I've never looked at any of their artwork before.
Really?
I know
Or
who
you
they
just
are, but I've never looked at anything
dude?
beyond like tattoos.
They've described it like being a tattoo artist is like being a painter. You treat your machines as as brushes instead of actually as a machine, and that's how you get what you get. Which
but that's coming from people that paint.
Yeah,
like,
but they if you've ever seen any of their paintings, like especially like Nick Baxter, who does these crazy realistic paintings, he's from Connecticut.
I gotta say, he's from Connecticut and his paintings are phenomenal. His tattoos are not where his paintings are. They're not.
It's different now lately. Back in the day when he first started, I definitely agree with you. Things have changed a little bit for him, but when he first started, his tattoos and his paintings were like hand in hand. And then realistically, I feel like he doesn't tattoo as much because he does a lot more painting, which also comes to the process of the medium that you choose. So like Bryant was saying, like being a tattoo artist, that's his medium. For him, it came hand in hand, and I think people approached him more for his paintings than his tattoo work.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot of his stuff recently, and they're good. They're still good. but I feel like his earlier work was better. Definitely, like I feel like his tattoo work back in the day was way better than what it is now.
I
It
just
doesn't
can't
mean
get
that he
past
can't
how.
still tattoo circles around me. So I will say this:
Oh, for
he
sure,
definitely can
for
tattoo
sure.
circles
He's
around me.
definitely
You know what
better
I
than
mean?
all of us put together.
Oh
But
yeah,
at the same
but
time, like,
like
I
he
think
could easily
like
make an oil painting and then fucking sell it, and then he'd be good for like a year. You know what I mean? Like,
I think so much of his effort now has gone into his like seminars and all that stuff and telling other people how to tattoo. But I don't know how anyone listens to them because they're monotone as fuck. I'm like, what the fuck am I actually listening to right now? I'm just trying to fight sleep. Like,
He's
He's one
got a
of
oh
those
my
very
guys that
god,
chill
like doesn't
voice.
have like a
Sean
voice.
I like it. It's
Sean
like
Baker.
ASMR. Same time. It's like so
serious
chill.
the
I like it.
entire time.
I fuck with that. I like his
Damn.
demeanor.
If you guys, remember Sean? What was it Sean Baker?
Barber.
Sean Barber. Yes, thank you very much. He started off as a college artist, a college professor, artist. He did a lot of oil painting and stuff like that. And then he got tattooing. He was the same way. He started off as a painter, became a tattoo artist, did that for a number of years, and he did really good. He still occasionally tattoos, but a lot of people recognize him more for his paintings than they do for his like tattoo work, especially more over the years, recently years. Um, and his paintings, his oil paintings are fucking ridiculous. I love all his stuff that like he does, oil wise. And during the Paradise Gathering, he did like a free little seminar, and he kind of gave you an insight in how he does his portraits and stuff. Uh, but it's all a matter of what you focus on your medium. Um, I think that like another example is Tony Safaro, who I don't know how this dude does it, but like it's like almost every morning he does this huge ass like fucking drawing and fully colored, rendered, and everything, and still manages to tattoo on a regular. You know what I mean? Like if you've seen any of his stuff that
Some
he
people are
does,
beasts of production.
exactly. And he has like 2 kids, and he runs like a t-shirt company. Which, mind you, I bought actually one of his t-shirts recently, so I'm expecting him to come
Nice.
in. He runs a t-shirt company, tattoos, and he does work every morning before he goes to work. He draws with like Prismacolor pencils and what the hell? I forgot what kind of paper he uses.
Sometimes I feel like some people live with more hours in their day than other people do.
I
Yeah.
think so. I think
Yeah.
so.
Dave
Like
Tavenel's definitely getting like
Do you
48 in
guys?
the 24.
Yeah. Do you guys got
Yeah.
You guys got 24? Like that's what.
I think so.
I'm
It
gonna go with
depends on how the
18.
Matrix works when we're
Yeah. I mean,
asleep. I mean, you never know.
Yeah.
I was given 20. I was given 24, but a lot of them. Sometimes I sleep during a majority of them. No, but I think that's why I'm happy that I you know have taken tattooing on as my main medium, but also not. So like these people that have all these other mediums and they like to do this other artwork, they value their time away from the tattoo shop because when they're at home, they're painting or they're drawing or they're creating something else. And my days off, which have been very scarce, not because like, oh, it's like, oh, poor me, I don't have days off. I make my own schedule. I could take days off if I wanted to.
Yeah,
It's
you
because
barely ever take a day off.
my days on aren't that packed, and so I feel like I didn't do enough, and but it's also because since tattooing is my main medium and also like one of my favorite things to do of all time, like I just that's where I end up, like it doesn't matter, so I don't know, like maybe if I was a painter or, and I had a studio at home and did these, glorious oil paintings, I'd value the time sitting at home and paint and paint and paint and paint. But I'd rather go do tattoos and hang out with my friends. Like it just seems like a way better time than sitting at home and painting. I
I
don't
feel
know.
like I feel like for you, given the situation you're in, I feel like you have enough time to actually do stuff like that.
I have a
Uh,
lot of
you
yeah, I have a lot of resources available. I have a lot of time available, and I'm just trying to figure out. I think my difficulty right now is figuring out how to really take the time I have and the availability I have and make the best of it. Like, what do I need to do to make sure that I'm not losing my fucking mind, not overdoing it,
Yeah.
doing, make sure I'm not doing the bare minimum, make sure I'm still pushing myself, but without, like completely going insane,
Yeah.
being obsessed with my job is just because I'm not tattooing all day long every day, it's still an obsession and it still will drive you crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh
I
yeah,
definitely. Yeah. God.
we've
So,
definitely. I mean, I feel like we care so much about our jobs. I mean, how many times have you lost sleep over a tattoo? You know what I mean?
uh,
Like,
all the time.
yeah, like like every other day, no big deal.
Yeah, yeah.
but
Yeah, definitely. I've
but
definitely stressed out on a couple of pieces, and then they turn out just fine.
yeah,
And
yeah.
you know,
I
I
typically
mean,
stress, yeah, typically stress before tattooing than like the end result.
yeah,
There's been
for
a
sure.
couple though that I've done tattoos where I'm just like, oh, like they managed to talk me into doing something that I wasn't 100%
Yes.
confident in. Like I definitely blew out a couple lines on people's faces before. Like it's insane. Like, but because I feel like I just need to do something for somebody that did what they ask, and then it turns out that I was right the whole time. But
I was right.
I already told them. Like, hey, this is gonna blow out, and then they're like, run it, and then I'm like, first I was like, I just blew it out. Like I just did it. It happened. It happened. And they're like, okay, keep going. And I'm like, I just blew out another one. This is bad. Like that was literally my day, like the other day. But
Oh no.
I don't know. It's I don't know.
honestly, it does. It definitely gets a little stressful sometimes. You like prior. Um, I feel like I definitely feel I get, I rarely ever get anxiety for anything, but I'll definitely admit that I do get a little anxiety when it comes down to like my next tattoo. And I'm like, fuck, how am I going to do this? There was one time after, post COVID where this kid wanted, and these guys will tell you, this kid wanted a bracelet that had two paws, two initials in it, um, some kind of name, and something else involved. It was like literally he wanted everything in the kitchen sink. And I'm like, what the fuck am I gonna do? How the fuck am I gonna do this? And I end up, finally getting the final drawing literally the day of, like probably within like half hour before the dude showed up. And it worked. And honestly, even to this day, I think about it, I'm like, how the fuck did I make that work? And I got comfortable once I had the the basic idea of what I wanted to do, and it worked and it blended all together. I ended up doing like a bracelet that was pretty much like a link chain, and it all connected. Oh, he also wanted a cancer ribbon attached to it. So like literally, it was like the kitchen sink. It was like everything in the kitchen sink in it. And I think I remember telling Angelo about it, and he was like, "Dude, I don't know how the fuck you're gonna do this." And it ended up working out. I think this is probably like the first week
Yeah.
I was back.
I saw it go down.
Yeah,
That's solid.
yeah, you were there that day, and like I managed to make it work. I managed to give the client everything he wanted. And but yeah, there's definitely times where it gets stressful as a tattoo artist. And I don't think a lot of people realize that.
It,
Um,
it gets a little less stressful when you stop doing stuff like
it does. No, I
that.
agree because
when you
you're
stop
doing stuff that you're happy with.
when you stop
But
doing like initial paw print bracelets.
But some things
But
you
yeah,
have to take just on
I do
the.
get it. I do get
You
it.
have to take some things like that are weird in a sense. But when are you gonna get the chance to like? When will I ever get the chance to tattoo someone's self portrait on them with the body of Dwight ever again? Like
That
I
was
had to.
that was insane.
yeah, exactly.
Wasn't he also doing karate or something?
Yeah. No, his cat. He wanted his cat afterwards
Sick.
in a karate gi, and then he
There's
wanted me
always
to add a. Oh, what the fuck? Like what?
there's
that
always
was that was
there's
insane.
always some kind of strange small thing or whatever with you have those clients that you get new or fairly new, and then you have your main clients who know how you are as a tattoo artist and how you work.
Right.
But I feel like no matter what, we provide a service that essentially like works for us because we learn how to work on under pressure. We learn how to work where it's like, all right, we've got a couple of days. We where we can take our time. We have a client that comes in and they like, oh, I want a half sleeve, and they give you everything you need for the information that you need to create this half sleeve. And then you come in, you get a client that gives you 3 or 4 words of what they want, and you have to figure it out. And it's
Love
none
that.
of it makes sense. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
love that. You gotta love that.
But I mean,
I do love that.
also I do have to say that like if it wasn't for people like you guys, I would have to do those tattoos. So I mean people like Daryl that takes everything that comes to the door. Like
Oh, yeah, everything.
that's how people like me get away with not doing it.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's because someone else will do it. If no one else would do it, then yeah, I'd probably have to do it. But
Mhm.
I think the
No.
good thing about our shop, about where we work, is that
There's someone there
everybody
that's
at our
gonna
shop
do
is a versatile.
something.
Yeah, everybody at our shop is versatile. So if there's something that we don't do, we can essentially give it to somebody in our shop that knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like I'm not really, I've never really attempted at doing a portrait, but I know at least 2 artists in our shop that know how to do a portrait.
Yeah.
Or if there's
Me and Megan.
Yes.
or
That's who I
if it's something that's really, really
What?
simple,
Just
like
kidding.
when I was overwhelmed a couple weeks ago, and Megan, who's the youngest artist of our shop,
But yet
she
saves all of our
she
asses.
she say yeah, she has a tendency to save some of her asses, and I appreciate her
Megan,
for
you're the
doing that.
greatest.
Yeah, I know,
Best
Megan, if
best
you're watching
tattooer.
this, thank you very
My
much.
favorite.
You are like the best. But like someone like Angelo, he does a lot of very texture, definitely like realistic looking animals and stuff like that. So like if I have a client who's looking to do something like that, I'll recommend him to do that. Or if like something that's doing like really, really traditional, I'll probably recommend Bryant to do something like that. Or depends on who it is. And I think that's one of my favorite things about working at this shop is that we all have our own style, our own perspective, and we know exactly what we want to do out of it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, we have this idea. I think I had a client who wanted to do some kind of cover up with like an octopus, and I'm like, with like crazy detail to it. I'm like, you know what?
Not it.
Angelo would be the guy.
Not it. Not it.
Angelo would definitely be the guy to do that because he loves doing texture stuff like that.
That was a grenade
Uh,
toss, but I'll show you exactly how I'm about to do this person's whole leg, bro. I'm
yeah, I'm
about to
like,
do the
dude,
sickest
you can
octopus.
do this. I knew, like,
It's
I know you
fine.
can do that. Like, I wouldn't have
They're about to
recommended
have a
like
very dramatic looking tattoo.
And I'll watch.
if I didn't think you couldn't do it, I wouldn't have chose you to do it. You know what I
Word.
mean?
I'll be there that
Appreciate
day.
it.
I'll get my tattoo done in about an hour and a half.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
I'll sit around
Yep.
eating pretzels and scratching scratch tickets while you guys have fun with
Yeah.
all
And like
Yep.
a while back, Nick, one of our our other coworkers, he recommended 2 people to me just because they want to do Rick and Morty pieces. I was like, fuck yeah. You know what I mean?
Nice.
So it varies.
Yeah, but yet Nick's over there doing Panthers and Eagles and everything. And
I was doing like half sleeves in like 3 hours.
and I'm just like, bro, why? Why are you doing that to me? So it's weird
It's
because like
'cause it's
with
fun.
traditional, it's like I can push, like I have to send all that stuff to him, but like when that stuff comes into to other people, they want to do it because it's fun, So
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
not everyone throws the traditional my way, like
You caught
if
some
someone's
from
like,
me recently too. Gave you
yeah,
some good
but
ones.
at the same time, it's like most of the time people are gonna do it. They're gonna be like, oh yeah, I think I could do this because it's the fundamentals of tattooing, but just make sure you do
I
it
think,
right.
I
But
think
it's like, if
traditional
someone
is
comes to me
definitely
for
one
a
of those
portrait,
things.
I'm not gonna be like, oh, sounds fun, let me try it. I'm gonna be like, go one of these guys. But then if someone comes to them and is like, I want a traditional rose, they're gonna be like, yeah, I could do line work. I can shade, I can color, and then they're gonna do it. So like, it's weird. I like have to send people that way, but like traditional is just one of those styles where it's like we all know how to do it. We all can do it, So um, sometimes just like
Yeah, I mean, it's
not.
definitely one of those things to try.
I'm just like a snob when it comes to it. So like when I see it done like incorrectly, I'm like
Yeah.
come on.
Understandable. Well, that's it. You know what? That's the best thing about having you around is like getting your
It's
advice
the
on
best
doing
thing.
that. Yeah, but
Just
The
one
my
thing about having,
snobbishness.
my
with you
opinionated ass.
It's the snobbishness for him.
and with with everybody in the shop is we all have our own styles. So like if something
Look at
comes our
everyone's
way that we
this.
have to try, we can ask each other questions.
That's
So like with Bryant, like usually if I've had any kind of client or recurrent client who wants to do something a little more traditional, I'll ask him a little advice on like, all right, what's the best way to kind of attack this? How should I do this? Like at one point I had, um, I don't know if you guys remember, but I had that black and gray, realistic looking portrait of a wolf. And I didn't even know what the fuck I was there. It was my first, my first like realistic animal. I took advice from like Angelo. I took advice from like Nick on the best way to like go about it. So, and
Simple.
at, at one point I had to do like a traditional looking tomahawk, and I remember asking Bryant for a little advice on that, and best way to execute it. So the good thing of the best thing about having being in a shop where everybody's versatile is, and nobody's like snobby or douchey about it, is being able to ask advice and be able to get advice back from that. When I had asked
The
Bryant
advice
for
was so
advice on,
simple for the wolf.
yeah,
I said, put black where the dark parts are. I'm
yeah,
like, yeah,
pretty
there you
much
go.
like,
You fucking put that
so
stencil on, you put black where the dark parts are. Don't be a fucking pussy about it. That's it.
So like, I mean, but like, as funny as that is, but it's helpful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah. Oh
helpful.
yeah.
Like, I'm glad
That
that,
is the right
uh,
advice for realism. Don't be
yeah,
shy
like,
with the black.
it's helpful to have a everybody having their own style because if something comes
Oh, it
along
pushes it.
to be able to do it, it's encouraging.
I'm the only
You
one
know,
that doesn't ask for advice because I'm a legend.
Yep.
I don't need it.
like when it comes down to it, he like if I need to do anything traditional, and
I'm
I've
legendary.
done a handful of traditional tattoos, even though I'm more of a new school artist, kind of more of a new neo traditional artist, I'll still ask for advice where I need it. So
Well,
if
that
I do something
tomahawk
that's
was a banger.
traditional,
Came
yeah,
out sick.
you know what? And
One of my favorite
I had
tattoos you've
asked,
done.
like I said, I had asked Bryant, like, what's the best way to kind of execute this, and he gave me his advice, and vice versa. And I think that's one of my favorite things about being at the shop, with you guys, is
Right.
that we can kind of we're not snobby about it. We kind of help each other out, And if Megan was here, which we were trying to get her to get back on for a while, I feel like she would agree with us on the fact that she's gotten advice from all of us.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Word. So I had a hot topic come up a while ago that I've been wanting to bring up. It was during the cover up talks and the handmade section, which is that time when you're doing the tattoo and you know you've made an error, and what do you do? Like the
He
best
quit.
the
That's it.
best
No.
the best internal your own tattoo cover ups. Like you put a little fucking mag work outside the line, you put a fucking um errant line, something strange where you're
Oh,
something's a little off.
I did it yesterday
Oh yes.
on the
The truth.
Pokemon tattoo where
Yeah,
the
but
purple is on the ghastly. That was the supposed to be white, and I filled it in the wrong side. I was like, fuck it. Like,
yeah.
so I just filled the rest. I was like,
Yep.
okay, no one else knows. I know, but
Oh yeah.
yeah. I mean, there's all sorts of little like tricks and stuff. I mean, I did it the other day too. I was doing the compass on the inside of the inner bicep, and you have a compass and you're making two perfect circles initially. So I'm pulling a line, and then one of them kind of just strays off into the design a little bit, and then that's where you put your black. Like it's
Boom.
really
Yep.
simple,
Hell yeah.
And then you whip shade black so it looks like it's got multiple points of like a shine kind of coming around it. And then there was this one time I was doing some Celtic on the wrist, and my clipboard snagged, and I freckled the guy.
Oh
And
no.
I just took
Wireless, bro. Wireless.
I
I'm
just took
telling you.
I just took white highlights and put it around where the dot was, and it was fine.
Nice.
It's okay.
Dude, Celtic can be a motherfucker for lines. Honestly, like the interweaving lines, I think is one of the most annoying things, and then following them and shit. Like, I've definitely, especially, oh my god, when I started tattooing and I did Celtic, I would be like, it has to have shading because I'm about to not like get the lines right at one point. I know it, and then you gotta fix like whipping it out. Luckily, I've never done like the heinous like shade the wrong side black on a nautical star and then have to make like stone texture or something out of it.
Ooh.
But like, I thought you wanted it textured like a fucking Jeff Bartles painting.
I haven't done that, but I like did this tattoo. It was like she wanted like 5 stars, just like 5 pointed stars down the arm, and it was supposed to be in some order. It was like blue, pink, blue, pink,
Oh
blue.
yeah.
And I just started like whip shading blue into one of like the pink stars, and she was like, "That one's supposed to be pink," and I was like,
It's gonna be.
so I covered all the blue I did with black and just did a black gradient into pink, and
Yeah.
then black gradient into blue for all of them. So all the stars had black shading going up halfway into blue, pink, blue, pink. So like
Yeah.
it was a recovery, but like I'm sure it wasn't exactly what she wanted, but it actually looked pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like one of those points where it's like people are trusting you to do these things correctly, and then you're kind of just like, oops, like I've definitely gotten like Roman numerals wrong and stuff like that. That's why I try to avoid stuff like that now, because it's like I know I'm not gonna do that panther wrong. I'm not gonna spell it wrong, because
Hmm.
it's a fucking panther, But like I just got tired. I got tired of like people coming in and being like, okay, these are the Roman numerals I want. I was like, well, none of us are Roman, and I don't research. So like, if this is wrong, it's on you. But then they still, even if they're at fault, they still want it fixed. So it's still my job to fix it. So I'm like, I remember this dude got like these Roman numerals, and like one of it was wrong. There was like too many eyes. So we just threw a hockey stick through it, like a fucking just right down in front of it. And I'm like, there you go. Yeah, there's a hockey stick. But I don't remember whose fault it was. Like, was it my fault? Was it his fault? Was it Justin Bieber's fault? Like
Always our fault, no matter what, man.
Oh
It's
yeah.
always our fault.
see,
I
but
never
that's the
blame
thing.
everybody
But
else.
that's the
I always
thing.
blame. Like I always say like I'm an artist. I'm not an English teacher. So if it's not spelled correctly, that's not you.
I always thought that we're in the service industry, and like it's always like the customer is always right. Like tattooing, they're always wrong, always
Oh yeah, yeah.
100% wrong.
99
So and like
99% of the
but
time they're wrong.
but I stick to it, and I tell people that, and they get it, they understand what I'm trying to say is like, I'm not here to do wrong by you. I would never want to do that to a person, especially when you're dealing with something so permanent. And the reason that it's so permanent is why you're wrong, and why I'm so hell bent on doing things my way is because I know what's going to work, and I know what's going to look best on you, and I want you to have the best tattoo you can so that you can enjoy it for the rest of your life, versus something that you're asking me to do. I'm uncomfortable with it, but I'm going to do it anyways. I'd rather just stick to my guns so that you have something that we can both enjoy and both be proud of. Um, so like, yeah, I think we're like the one service industry where we can just like say, yeah, you're not always right, because like it's gonna be a matter of like me looking bad and you looking bad forever, like it's just one of those things. So
It's one of my favorite things about being in this industry is 99% of the time customer is always wrong.
Yep.
Now 1% of the time, it's usually because like we're tattooing another artist. You know what I mean? Um, but for the most part, that's the bet. I've had a lot of jobs over the years. Um, Prior to being a tattoo artist, I've worked a lot of customer service jobs, um, and I've learned to appreciate what I have. I've learned to appreciate the fact that I get to do what I get to do, and I get to have fun with it. And I've also learned that the fact that matter is customers or clients, customers, whatever you want to call them, are usually wrong on how they want to approach what they want to approach. It's our jobs as artists. It's also our, thinking about it, as our jobs as artists to steer our clients in the direction where we can get a really good tattoo done and they can be happy with it. Take their crazy, weird, whatever ideas that they have and make it so it actually works as a good tattoo. And at the same time, do something that's fun that you enjoy while also making sure that they're happy with it. But I always say that 99% of the time, customers are always wrong. And nothing wrong with that.
I'm at 100, but agree to
The reason why I get that 1% is because sometimes we'll have our clients are usually be tattoo artists, tattoo artists. And then that's when it becomes a kind of nerve-wracking, because especially if it's a good tattoo artist, or regardless of whether you follow them or not, or you've seen their work or whatever, it's a tattoo artist that you're tattooing, so you want to do the best work you can and not have them make us bitch about it. You know what I mean?
You'd think that would be the case all the time, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, essentially. But yeah, most of the time, clients usually don't know what they want, and it's our job to interpret what they want and give them the best outcome of what they want. Unless they're being assholes, then they go fuck themselves.
Put a dagger
I just
through
sometimes
something.
wish there was a device where I could just plug in what these people are seeing in their head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just want to see what they're thinking when they tell me 40 different things. I'm like, how?
I wish I had a little a little recorder, and then when people say something, I just record it, and then as soon as they're done talking, I just play it back for them and be like, "Now
you can use your phone to do that.
Pretend you're me here, but
you can definitely use your phone to do that. But I mean,
could be a good skit, good segment.
I try my best to look at everybody that's new that I guess a client as a novice, not an ignorant person, but somebody who doesn't know how the industry or the tattoo world works. I try my best to think that, but then there are times where I lose my patience in that aspect, and I've had a couple of incidents.
I'm the one with bad reviews. Okay, so
you've had one bad review.
I used to lose not my patience. I used to lose my mind. Okay, I used to lose my marbles. I used to lose.
Okay, so how do you guys approach these difficult situations? For instance, I have upcoming a guy who wants me to touch up his fucking Confederate flag.
Touch up
and
touch just up. the
to make
the rebel flag.
Make
the rebel flag.
This is what you say. You say, I mean, really, there's nothing that anybody can do to make a Confederate flag look better than it is.
Yeah.
Oh, rip.
You just be like, dude, there's nothing I can do. This thing's hit no matter. This thing's gonna look like shit no matter what I do. Bro.
Yeah.
It depends, where they're coming from. It's difficult to, especially nowadays, to do something like that and think that you want your name associated walking around with the Confederate flag. Yeah, but that will happen. You know what I mean? That'll happen in their circles. Those circles are going to come to you. And that's the way I've always thought about it.
This guy touched it up. This guy does.
Oh yeah, when people ask who did it, from that point on, it's you. So that's why you always gotta take that factor into reworking. Because I'll rework tattoos. I love to make old tattoos and stuff that's not a piece of history into something that's gorgeous again and that the person can love, because there's no reason to leave your clients that you want to get some of your original shit with a body of work that isn't up to standard, something that makes them want to keep their t-shirt on or not wear a bathing suit. So I love to help with that, but I don't know. Confederate flag nowadays, they'd have to be a very particular person because, like, I could talk to somebody and figure out probably, if they're coming from a hateful place or if they're like, yeah, Confederate flag because I believe in like secession or something. But it would be a very rare case. Like most of the people that are going to push something like that are kind of like being a little bit racist, most likely.
Yeah, I agree. I had a client last year who came in and he's like, you know what? He had a Reaper where the cloak itself was a Confederate flag, and he's like, I got this when I was like 16, 17 years old. It's hard for me because I don't want my friends, my family to think, my kids to think that this type of person. I don't want people to think that I'm this type of person. I did something when I was 16 that was stupid. So I remember having to fix it, and what I did was, because there was a lot of red, so I pretty much redid the drawing because it was like, I don't know, it was like 15 years old. I redid the tattoo, and I recolored the whole thing in like different tones of red, which essentially established, like, because it Confederate flags like red and what is it? I think blue or something like that. And I was able to make it work to his advantage, or yeah, whatever colors that they are.
It's blue.
But there's a lot more red involved in the situation. So I was able to fix it to where it didn't even look like it was what it was, and he was really happy with it because of the fact that, like, he's like, you know what, I did something stupid, and when I was like 16, 17 years old, and this isn't who I am now. So, and I don't want
Here's
my
the question.
kids to feel
Here's the
like,
question. Why wouldn't you just use black?
Yeah.
because
I feel like
it
I
looks
would
too
just
obvious. You know what I mean? Like, it looks. I feel like when you're trying,
It's a
trying
Reaper
to,
though.
I know, but when you're trying to do a cover up and stuff like that, it's like you want to make it look not too obvious. And when I did the cover up, it actually like blended well because he already had red there. So all I did was use darker tones of red and different shading tones and stuff like that to make it look better than what was there.
You like to work hard.
I do, because you know what? I'm okay with that. Because you want to know what it is? I think in an artist's perspective, and I like doing what I like to do. So like I like a challenge. So somebody comes in with a cover up, half the time I'm like, all right, how the fuck am I gonna cover this shit up? I'll do this, and I'll do this.
But I don't know. I think if someone came to me and they're like, "This Reaper is wearing a Confederate flag cloak. What can you do?" I'd be like, "Put him back in his normal black cloak." I don't know the guy, and just I don't know. But I mean, I'm sure it looks
I mean,
cool.
we all have different perspectives on
I'm
how
sure it looks good.
we'd handle this.
But I don't know.
I mean, I posted
right.
it like it was like a year ago. So but
this
if you,
is the situation though. I'm working on a piece on this guy on his
He
separate.
doesn't want it fixed. He wants it. He
On a
doesn't want it.
different arm.
He wants it.
Yeah.
He wants
Reworked.
it. He wants to. And I reworked a Pontiac GTO on the other arm, and he lifts up his sleeve, and lo and behold, Confederate flag. He's like, "Can you touch this one up next time when you were working on this one?" I'm like, "How? What?"
So you've already tattooed the guy.
Yeah, but we have
And he's
continuing
given
things
you-
to do. But now he's saying, "But can you touch this Confederate flag up at the same time as you're doing this?" But I'm like, "Fuck, man! Like, I want to finish the tattoo that I'm doing, but at the same time, does it come at the cost of having to touch up your Confederate flag, or I just take my sweet ass time on the other
deny.
tattoo?" Like,
I mean,
thing-
definitely deny. But he's not. First off, they're not giving you great work. It's not like he's coming to you and being like, "Oh, I loved your Art Nouveau pieces. I saw that you drew yourself, and I'm here to pay you whatever you'd like for the work that you're looking to do on custom art." Like,
sure.
you're reworking a couple of pieces, which is like I've just expressed my feelings on how important I think that is to offer sometimes. But then, like, for something like that where it's questionable and you might not want your name obviously attached to it, then I would just like offer a cover up. I'd be like, I mean, have you thought about just going with a much
Oh,
bigger
I did.
tattoo? Yeah.
I told him, I was like, do you just want me to go black in there? Because it's like a skin rip, right? So I'm like, I can just black or make it look bloody or whatever,
Something.
muscle. And he's like,
I'm sure you could
no, I
put
want,
like
I
some
want.
black mech
he-
or something.
He's like, he basically just said, no, I want the Confederate flag to be more bright. I'm like, fuck. Like, so you just want it.
Realistically, you can
Be like,
easily
sorry, bro, I'm
be
not
like,
into doing a rebel flag.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You can easily be like, look, I'm sorry, man. It's not really my thing to touch that up. You know, regardless of how you see things, whether it's meant to be, you know, it's just not my thing to touch up. I remember having a client come in, or there was a dude who came in when I first started working at the Edge, and he had like a swastika on his shoulder that he was trying to cover up. I think I gave it to Nick, if I remember correctly, and Nick ended up covering it up with like a rose because he's like, dude, I got this when I was in prison. Obviously,
Yep.
that's a different
Okay.
situation. You know what I mean? In your case, if you're not comfortable with doing the tattoo, don't do it. That's it. Like there's, you know what I mean? Like if you're not comfortable doing the tattoo, don't do it. Like that's the best advice I can give you.
One
if
time
you feel
I had.
comfort-
Go ahead.
oh, if you
Finish your
feel
thought. I mean,
comfortable
cut you off.
doing it, if you feel comfortable doing it, then you know whatever, do it. It's not like it's going to establish your belief in the situation. I know some people in this country in the United States feel like the Confederate flag has different belief system than what it actually was essentially entailed for. Because a lot of people don't like. Some people like they see it as pride rather than see it what it's actually really meant for. So it's not like it's a. Some people don't treat it as like a, I guess, a racist thing.
Right.
You know,
I feel
it's
like
more of a pride thing
I feel like,
compared to
but
like what it actually really means.
but
It
no
even
one
meant
the
something
the
different back then.
majority now of what it means now to
Yeah.
when people just see it. You know what I mean? There no one's gonna go
Yes,
up to you
yes,
and ask you about it. Just
yeah,
period. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I feel like for me, I guess I'm gonna just have to tell him like, dude, look, bro, like
if you're not comfortable
I'm
doing
happy
it,
to
don't
do your
do
other
it.
tattoo, but I feel like because the way I feel about it, I just won't do as good a job on it probably either. You know what I
Oh,
mean? Like
God.
just mentally, you know, like I don't want to even put that like hating to do something while doing it on somebody. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah, and there's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that, man.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to just say no. You don't have to like. You don't have to do everything that walks in the door. If you're not comfortable with the situation, don't do it. Just be like, listen, bro, it's cool. Like, you know, I just can't do that. Like, I can't like touch that up. I can't do that just because of how I see things. Or you're just, you know, whatever. You just don't feel comfortable doing it. Don't do it. It's not. There's nothing against you on that perspective. And if they choose to see it as a negative thing, you know what? You don't have to work with that person anymore. That's the best thing about being in this industry is you don't have to work with people like that. You don't have to work with people who are either ignorant or rude or anything, because that's the best thing about being a tattoo artist.
What if you like subtly try to get him to just put something on top of it?
Yeah, I mean that's different. If you
Like
can
what
get
if
them
you're
to
like
cover
what
it
if you're
up.
like, bro, that thing looks pretty old. What if we just put like a sick space reaper on top of it? And then when he's like, yeah, that's sick. Then you do a cover up and you get money at the same time and you're not racist. That sounds that sounds like triple win. That just sounds good all around. I don't know.
see.
I don't know. But
I mean, it's really all about your. If you feel comfortable doing it, if you don't have to do it. That's the best thing about being in this industry. You don't have to do shit.
True.
Well,
Like,
I got catfished one day. Like I fucking was set up for an appointment with a guy that I had tattooed before, and like it went fine, and I did a decent piece on him. And then he came in and he said he wanted a skull. Comes in, it's like, well, I changed my mind from the skull. You know, I was thinking of something else. I was thinking, you know, I would like to get like a big ass swastika on my like stomach and my torso. like full size, like stomach size, and I was like, no, thank you, man. Like, I'm not gonna do that. I will have no part of like placing hate on your body. And he was clearly not the type of, not that I would do it for some hipster that's like, we're taking it back, but like there's
Long gone. Long gone.
like even the people of India who originated it have abandoned it. It's only, you can only find that shit on historic sites. Like, they don't use it in contemporary art or contemporary like
Yeah,
culture for the most part.
get your
And
freaking black belt
the
arm out of here.
I had to turn it down, and this dude had a $200 deposit in for me, and he was going nuts and shit. And I was like, dude, I'm really not like trying to even give you this deposit back because you fucked me over. Told him, I was like, I'll give you half of it and you can be on your way. So I gave him half and sent him on his fucking way. And he was pissed, but I was like, yo, go ahead, do whatever you want to say. They would like tell everybody I'm not doing fucking racial hatred tattoos here, like any sort of hatred tattoos at all. Fuck that. And then you can find someone else that will do it if you want.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's all a matter of your preference and how you feel about the situation. If you don't feel comfortable doing like a certain type of tattoo, don't do it. Nobody's stopping you. It's not like you're desperate for that person's money. It's not like the shop that you work at is desperate